Okay, so here's the deal with 1080p, guys. I actually don't know how stable this will be. We're gonna find out, and I absolutely love broadcasting 1080p when I can. The problem is, in the past, it eats up all of my bandwidth and then screws me over. But I guess we are already kind of close to the end of the month, so maybe we'll just hope that doesn't happen. No, that looks stupid there too. I can't remember where I had this yesterday. I guess just above it. It's the most getaway for it to say best of 11, but I mean, that's the whole point. It is a best of 11, so... well, it's gonna have to do its job. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BaseTradeTV Map Test Tournament. Spawning here in the upper right side of the map to kick off this best of 11, it's going to be the red Zerg player, Nerchio. And in the bottom left is going to be the blue Protoss Neeb. He's asking my prediction. Ooh. Where is this? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put my faith in Nerchio, guys. Nerchio 6'4", something. I guess. All right. I'm just making. There's actually no thought process going to this whatsoever. That's just like a shot in the dark. What about you? You guys? Because of course, this is going to be a long one. But I want to talk actually a little bit some of what we've learned since our last cast. First off, Neeb, bottom left, represented by Ting. Don't remember if I just did that intro or not, but yeah. Neeb's been a pretty good player. He's been consistent in the map contest tournament. He did trade out a little bit when we saw him before, but not by much. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Nerchio. And we're not going to see him do that right here, but I actually took the time to ask him, hey, so in a lot of the maps we've cast you on so far, you've been very noticeably skipping your naturals. And I'm wondering, like, is this a map-dependent thing? Is there like a bug we should let the map makers know about? Or is this more of something just like stylistically you've been choosing to do because Protoss can be annoying? And he pretty much said it was the latter. He didn't want to have to deal with probes and scouting and all this other stuff, so that's why we saw a lot of leapfrogging towards thirds. Now, I'm actually wondering, this sounds so silly, I really love and respect players like Hearthstone and Mana, and I don't want to disrespect either of them with this statement, but I do believe Neeb is a better player than either right now, at least in this particular matchup. And the reason I bring this up with such careful commentation is Nerchio has only fought against Protoss, and he's only had this matchup to deal with. Neeb's had to bounce around with PVTs and you name it, but Nerchio just seems so set against the other two. I don't know that he can necessarily play as silly versus Neeb. For example, skipping your natural in this base and taking it out here could leave you very susceptible to somebody like Neeb, who is so good at these knee-jerk reactions, who is so good at just like punishing you for any mistake you make. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. But Stargate comes out of him, and this is a pretty standard opener in the matchup. Got to give some credit back to that like, I don't know, insane amount of games we watched Drogo play, not in the map contest, where just consistently through Corsair Cups and you name it, lots and lots of Stargate openers, which is perfectly fine. They're good. In fact, I really like them. I like the Oracle first version, but a Phoenix to start's not bad. One of the things I think you are worried about when you're playing a player like Nerchio is he is a little bit better than the rest when it comes to trying new things and exploiting new maps. I think it was like our very first, or maybe it was our very second cast of him on Detox when we had introduced it to our map pool, that he was doing things like the Zergling drops. Multi-pronged hits, attack here, and then attack through the main with 2 drops going on the side. So, I mean, for Neeb, the Phoenix is kind of the safer option because it'll limit those possibilities. They'll pick off the Overlords early, and of course, above all else, provide the ability to harass and scout himself. Are we dropping frames? No. Sorry, I see some stream comments. Yeah, it's 1080p, so if things start looking janky, guys, if there's anything weird going on, let me know. I can always restart the stream. I'd rather not after having it started, because stream delay is a real pain in the ass to dance around, but if the stream starts looking a little bit wonky or anything, just let me know, and I can with enough feedback, possibly restart it. But Overlord goes down, takes away some of the scouting. Nerchio, of course, is darting across the map with a Ling. He's going to be trying to scout with this as well to confirm what's going on. I mean, I'm pretty sure he already knows about the third. That Overlord got to see it as it died. And I don't think we're in the days of Protoss faking out thirds anymore. Although I will say, that was for me one of the points in like PV anything history that was really cool. Specifically, we see players do it versus Pult a lot, where you'd kind of fake out a third, you'd build a Dark Stride and cancel it, and really just play the mind games. But StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void, a lot more about like actual just straight up macro, and as for taking thirds, like actual thirds are more important. We do see a double robo coming up behind this out of Neeb, and on top of this, Nerchio is getting ready for an attack towards that third. Unfortunately for Neeb, because these aren't done, his only means of defense right now really are that overcharge and maybe an adept or two. I was expecting to see a second pylon. I actually truly don't know that one pylon holds up to this. Other side of the map, the Phoenixes went over and killed a couple of drones, but really nothing too large. They may scout this on the way back. Nope, never mind. They do not. I do like the wall coming down out of Neeb, though. This is just going to be that surface area he needs to help protect things. Meanwhile, the Phoenix do go northwards. They're going to find that fourth base. I mean, there's not really a lot Neeb can do to punish this, though. And maybe Nerchio knows this through a bit of a blind bluff and says, all right, well, I got links positioned. I know that if you move out with whatever little amount of units you have, there'll be nothing at home and I can run in, or alternatively, run from behind and catch them. I mean, it really is an army of 4 adepts and a sentry right now. This isn't too scary. Sorry, excuse me, 2 sentries. But regardless, Baneling Nest coming down. I like to see this in play. I'm really not a fan of this Ling Hydra Baneling shit that became like really popular after dark. I think we've seen it fail more often than succeed, but when it does succeed, it looks really easy and it looks really hilarious. But if Neeb, who has been actually a very adept heavy player, chooses to go into adepts, then this is the greatest unit you're going to want to have in response to that. Upgrades, by the way, worth noting, are going to be for melee, so we're probably heading down that direction. I don't know why it took me to a quick tomb when I clicked on the upgrades, but okay. For those who don't know, there's a cool dynamic where if you get +2 weapon upgrades for melee, Banelings can start one-shotting workers a lot of the time because Protoss don't go for armor until like way later. So for Nerchio's sake, again, with someone who's fully capable and able to do drops and be around the map and take advantage of these new maps, I would really like to see him try and catch Neeb off guard with something like that. But that's just wishful thinking for the time being, because right now it is just a lot of Lings and Hydras that he's looking to focus on. I think that back Baneling speed starts up, so he is going to be using Banelings for absolute certainty this game. Now, Banelings actually do have a use against non-light units as well. When you pop off on something like an Immortal, you're going to trigger its barrier with that splash damage. Okay, cool. Better chance you get all the Immortals barriers popped and on cooldown faster. The other thing, too, is if Immortals are clumped up, it's the same dynamic as you see in ZvZ, where like you run Banelings into Roaches, and the idea is that you just have so much splash damage that even though it's not bonus damage, it's still doing a lot of freaking damage. Phoenixes are just going to dance around to the south. The Neeb's wall is a little bit clunky. He has got a decent army set up now, and I really like the Storms behind this. Storms, if for nothing else, hitting the Hydra is going to be a necessity, but hitting Lings and Banelings are always going to be nice. No Banelings with this actual attack. It is just Ling Hydra. Darts on in, breaks that first pylon, breaks the second pylon. Might even get a gateway for his trouble, but for Neeb, these are really minor losses, and I feel not that big of a deal. Thank you to Yeguzel, StarCraft 2, for the 4-month resub. Hitting us up in the middle of the action. 21 Banelings coming up, and that speed finishes here in just 1 moment. Now, again, with Force Fields available, these are why... Force Fields alone are why you almost never went for Banelings in the past. Plus, it just wasn't that effective against what Protoss compositions were anyways. But with the economy being what it is, with this wall being torn down, there's not going to be a lot of Force Fields or even enough Force Fields to deal with this. The Immortal count is really high. There's like 6 Immortals out here, so taking on the Hydras is not going to necessarily be the issue. It's clearing out the Lings. It's getting through the Banelings. Banelings now going to roll into the front lines. Force Fields go down. They kind of get some decent closure off on this, but now the mineral line's being compromised. Probes being hit. Everything being pulled. The Immortals are spread out. This is actually great defense against said Banelings. And as the Lings start getting cleaned up, the Nexus is going to fall. However, Nerchio's already done his job. He killed workers. He killed a lot of Lings. He's going to try and back away. But I think one of the problems with this attack, and where maybe you could consider it a failure, because it wasn't a failure, killing that base was the idea. He got the job done. He got 16 workers on top of it. And the idea for this, though, for Neeb, is if you've got enough Immortals left over, their barrier comes off of cooldown. Archons start being made. Templar have more energy. A counterattack is more viable. And somebody like Nerchio suddenly becomes perhaps in some trouble, depending on how things go. But looks like Neeb's going to be playing defensive, and he's not moving out. There's no lurkers for him to worry about, but it is still a really large army of swarmy units. That's where all these storms become increasingly important. Needs about 10 seconds before they're ready to go. So Nerchio's timing here pretty freaking sweet. But with the Banelings going down, there's nothing to threaten the Templar. There's almost no Lings on top of this. But it is only Immortals holding that front line. There's no pylons here to warp in. Neeb has to rely on some of these storms killing that army. Bailey's going to roll in and almost take out one of the Immortals. If he micros it back, maybe he lives to see another barrier, but it's all on cooldown, and this army gets absolutely demolished. Storm crushes everything. Neeb has to cancel his third another time, but he pushes back that army. But each time he takes one of these engagements, Nerchio throws away a lot of money at him. And once more, with so many very durable, slow-tech units like these Immortals surviving, warping in Zealots is an ease. It's a breeze. There we go, warp-ins. Seriously, it takes like seconds. But the Immortals take a lot of time to repair. So that's what Nerchio was hoping to really get out of these fights, kill the units that wouldn't be easily replaced. Now Neeb's looking to push a little bit, and he's got to be careful. He's coming up on creep. Nerchio still has a lot of units to fight with. More Banelings being morphed in, but most importantly, more bases being taken. The Phoenixes are doing a very finite, very limited amount of harass behind this. If Nerchio were to like F2 collectively his whole army and just move to the middle of the map, Neeb is pretty exposed where he currently sits. There's a couple of force fields. Nope, I take that back. Actually, all the sentries did die. Those were high Templar energy bars I was looking at. So he does have about 4 storms ready for this fight. 4 storms will be nice, but you're going to need a lot more than that. Back at home, an overcharge pops off, but that's not going to stop these lanes from canceling that third another time. And if Neeb can't hold on to this third, he's going to be in some trouble. He's going to start running out of money soon, too. The main's pretty much mined out, and the natural's getting low. Archon's getting merged in because it's his only option. Catches the back end of a lot of these Hydras. And I think if Nerchio didn't have 5, 6 bases behind this, he'd be sweating pretty hard right now. But his supply count remains high. He's got that Lurker Den finish up in a moment's time. Lurkers on the defense, going to be fantastic, considering he's managed to whittle down such a big part of Neeb's army. That's only 5 Lurkers, though. Considerable amount of Lings coming up next. He's going to want more Banelings for that next round of attack. He does have some Banelings still in play, but Ling's looking to dart around. And once more, Neeb, I think, is about to get caught out of position at his third. If Nerchio darts in there, there really is nothing to defend this, and the army is way out of position. In fact, as he continues to go north, Neeb might not even consider coming back home, and a lot of us may start looking into base trade territory, question mark. But the overcharge not even going to bother getting popped. Neeb just doesn't have the money to get a Sim City up. I mean, obviously, it'd be great to have a full wall of gateways once again. Oh, the probe's getting picked off on that mineral transfer. A little bit awkward. Charge slot's coming in to try and hold this. Legs being reinforced as they do dart across the map, and Nerchio with control of the bases. He did lose one of his, but he took another, so it's not such a big deal. Storm's going down. Storm setting this army from behind. If it was only one side to this fight, it might not go too badly, but Banelings crash in. Nerchio surrounds. This is going to be it for Neeb. The Lurkers come in. Detection's gone, and GG gets called. Nerchio will take game number 1. Congratulations to him. Now, problem is, do we swap to North America? Neeb was making some bold claims saying that EU didn't really affect him and that he could probably play all of his games on on Europe, but I did say server preference still goes to the loser, so if he'd like to swap to NA, we can. If he doesn't want to, we don't have to. To Neeb, if we swap or not. NA. We're going to find this out, guys. I'm going to just play some ads to cover this, so just 2 minutes while we talk about absolutely nothing in game and try and figure out what's going on next. We'll see you soon. Alright, we're back. Hello, guys. Just getting everyone into the lobby for game number 2. Selecting Paladino Terminal out of Neeb next. And we are going to stay in Europe. I'll talk more on this in just a moment, but we're gonna wait to see what the players are ready. Okay, they're all ready. Let's hop into it. So, Paladino Terminal for game number 2. 1 sec. Hey, Kinky Mal, thank you for the 19-month resub. That's a hell of a long time to resub, but thank you very much kindly. But anyways, we're staying on Europe. So Neeb says that he doesn't feel any lag to Europe, and I'm not trying to call his bluff. I'm saying, fine, great. But I did also say to him that we can swap to NA at any time if you change your mind. If you decide, like, oh, this series really isn't going in my favor and I really want to play somewhere else, you can. So the option's there, but I want to make it clear, Neeb has loser's pick for server preference, and rather than picking North America, he simply just chose to stay on Europe. So, I mean, it means nothing to me. I'd rather be casting on either server if it's easier for him. But in the upper left side of Paladino Terminal, this rather tiny map, in the semifinals for the BaseTradeTV Map Contest Tournament, it's going to be the red Zerg player, Nerchio. Play for Uranix Gaming. And his opponent in the bottom right, it's going to be the blue Protoss, Neeb. Currently down 1, but with a best of 11 and 8 games to win, there's plenty of time for him to make a comeback. And that first game out of Nerchio honestly looked a little bit a little bit shaky. I don't know what was really going through his mind. I know that that third never really looked too secure, even from his first intention to take it. But you can't give Nerchio an inch because he'll take a mile, I think is the old adage. And this is a map that I think is going to follow that same thought process with 2 entrances to your natural. While the third base is also perhaps considered well defended, it's also very dangerous as you get caught within your own base. So a little bit awkward as far as positioning on this map goes. We've not seen any players take advantage of this yet, but in the middle of the map, I do believe there's just a 1 wall-off section. So whether it's creating an army or whether it's actually physically walling off with 2 pylons or a pylon, because I don't know if you can build in there or not, it will make it so that players will have to go to the extreme norths and souths of the map to actually get around. So you could buy yourself some time and do some things. But to talk about the third, we actually saw this happen a couple of times that we've been on Paladino Terminal, and when players take said third, it seems really safe. Oh, you've got 1 choke to keep your opponent out of your base. But that's not really the case, because what's ended up happening is pressure goes towards the natural. It could come in from any angle. Defender's position here, attacker's position here, and the defenders come down, catch him from behind, and trap an entire army at the bottom of the ramp. I mean, it looks so appealing and so good at a glance, but this is actually kind of dangerous for an attacker to pull a move like that. So expanding northwards, I don't think is out of the question. Same thing could happen to your army, though, as the defender. Let's not forget, you could also be defending down here and have your army trapped in by your opponent's reinforcements. At any rate, there's a lot of hypotheticals for the maps, because we've only seen this map a couple of times, and every time it's played out relatively the same. Quick all-ins, nothing really going too crazy, too macro. I forgot to see the vetoes because Neeb was a little bit late to the party, not by much. He was just practicing and warming up on his Euro ladder account. So he's I know that this isn't like his first game of the day or anything like that, but my point of it was he was a little bit late, so I took time to go to the bathroom and get ready myself while they were doing vetoes. And after this game, I do want to look and actually see which ones got vetoed. Something like New Gettysburg kind of makes sense if you're worried about the island bases, but something like, for example, Iron Plateau and the other weird ones might also have been the ones axed, depending on their flavor and preference. Folks asking about the solo cast today, just a quick response. Same thing as before. Zombie Grub has been gone all weekend. We've been talking about for the week leading into this. Ravi was here yesterday because he wanted to get some casts done, but he wasn't available today as he also has a wedding to go to. Literally, all my friends are going to weddings except for me. And it's just like, I don't know, guys. You keep bringing it up and it just hurts my feelings. No, but really, Zombie Grub will be back tomorrow, and Ravi will be back next weekend, so yay! Couple links gonna get in, catch a bit of an off-guard stalker, but Probe's being pulled to assist. See how bad this gets. He does get fully surrounded, and getting a stalker kill is not gonna be too bad because that will save his overlord, which was being poked and prodded in rather annoying positions. So nice start for Nerchio with a small amount of links, but it does cost him the links for no probes and, more importantly, very little scouting. Looks like we still have 2 links bouncing around. Neeb wanted to keep those out of the main, so he canceled a pylon. Again, just kind of stressing this frustration that comes with 2 entrances. Neeb does decide to fully wall one of them off, and I think that's a cool move, especially with pylons overcharged. A great wall becomes a great attacking wall too. But he kept Nerchio from getting to the main. Nerchio's kind of got a clock ticking right now in his own head because he's a pro player. He's good at this game, and he'll know if he doesn't see a Phoenix or an Oracle, like especially now, much less within the next minute, then he can guess this probably went to Robotech in some variation. Now, you can guess Immortals and that slow play that Neeb did in Game 1, or you can guess a Warp Prism. It's going to be a bit of a coin flip for him, and back in the day, Nerchio was like the best player when it came to coin flips. But the Overlord, I guess it did see the Robo, but it just doesn't know what's coming out of that. Roaches being made right now are actually a pretty nice response to this. If Neeb throws down like another 4 or 5 gateways, though, and decides to all in with the Adepts and the Warp Prism, that could be a problem for Nerchio. Because Roaches, while good fighting units, they take a very long time to clean up these very hard to catch Adepts. You get a couple shots and then they transfer away. Then you slowly chase after them and it doesn't go well. But caught out in the middle of the map, this is probably the best thing Nerchio is hoping for, because there's no mineral line to threaten. There's no out of position spot to be. The Adepts are going to try and run past this. It looks like they will, barely. But if Nerchio could actually force a head-on fight, that would probably be his best case scenario. We're going to have some Ravagers get morphed in. I really like this choice because they are a lot faster than the Roaches and have better range, so chasing the Adepts is a lot easier to do. But on the other hand, they do give up a significant portion of their health to do this, so it might not be worth it if, all things considered, you end up dying to like the Adepts fighting you. But trying to get the transfer off as he completely baits Nerchio out of position, goes towards this third. There's a Queen to kill, there's a couple of drones to kill, but he should be transferring again after this, and that's where this sort of dance move becomes really nice out of Neeb. Back at home, he has started up Immortals as well, but we're watching Nerchio on the defense, and if he just keeps making more and more roaches, those Immortals are going to be very happy campers. They are out of position once again, but rather than transferring to the mineral line, he simply transfers away from the base. Not a bad move whatsoever. I guess, did the Warp Prism get picked off? Looks like the Warp Prism did get picked off. I'm not sure by what. I guess it's warped in, some Corsair Biles hit it, maybe a Queen shot or two, but either way, this does put a stifling stop to Neeb's aggression. Now, he's on a fairly low army count, and with Immortals popping out, maybe he can take a pretty decent fight. There's a lot of overcharges to guard this, but a problem I see him, nice transfer back, by the way. Oh, this is so sick. I love these moves out of Neeb. But Nerchio kind of predicted this was coming, so he left some units at home to chase around. Neeb not getting away with any of these special Protoss tactics. The overcharge does pop off over here to the right side. The Immortals are coming out. There's 2 of them right now. It's still not a large army to fight with, and with the Adepts not able to buffer for them either, it gets a little bit awkward and a little bit weird, but Neeb could certainly take any sort of fight that comes close to those pylons. This should, of course, have quite a bit of energy, too. Spire starts up behind this. Ooh, this will be an interesting swap if Nerchio catches Neeb off guard with it. 3 bases of economy, kind of sitting on that all in. Neither player really going for upgrades right now. These sentries are badly out of position. But if Nerchio catches Neeb off guard and Neeb's just invested in sentries and adapts in more and more and more Immortals, then he's not going to have anything to deal with that Spire swap. Corsair Biles do rain from above. Barriers get popped on those Immortals. We'll see if this army fight goes well for Neeb. He's going to chunk away at the Roaches, but the Ravagers are the real damage. Looks like he has pushed this back, and Nerchio is not going to have time to be able to go for those mutas. If Neeb keeps pushing off of this, going for mutas, it's going to take way too long to get anything in play. So starts off using up almost all the larvae, making 22 lings right now. This choke, this point of contention in the middle of the map is perfect for Ravagers, as this is the one skinny spot you could guarantee a hit on. But he doesn't get to force the fight here long enough, and he's forced to back away. Lings coming out now are going to help out a bit, but there's still a lot of Adepts. Let's not forget, round of those Warpins going to be coming in just a second. There we go, more Adepts on the way. Adepts versus the Lings, or Zealots versus the Lings, and neither are going to be particularly better than the other in this instance, but one of the things is really seeing how this gets handled. He's actually pulling the drones preemptively to deal with this. Nerchio is not underestimating this attack. He knows how dangerous this is. More Ravagers getting made, more Roaches being made. No time to go for those mutas despite that really awesome Spire. Hell, force out like just one Corruptor to deal with the Warp Prism might not be too bad of a choice either, but as the Adepts start transferring around and bouncing back and forth, picks up on the high ground, looking for those force fields to lock this army out. Let's not forget, Corrosive Biles can break force fields, though. Nerchio's not in trouble just yet. He is going to push the army back. Neeb's taking a concave as his opponent's ramp. Corrosive Biles are aiming for the sentries, they're aiming for the Immortals, but they're not quite hitting anything that they want to hit, and Neeb is taking the best fight of his life here at the top of Nerchio's base. I don't know how he managed to sneak up there, but Nerchio letting him just one small mistake, costing him his army, costing him his drones. Everything's dying. Ramp's about to break, and Neeb looks like he's going to take the game. GG! Woo-wee. All right, game number 2 going to go to Neeb. Things tied up now 1-1 early on to this best of 11. We're going to see what the next map is. I actually have to take a slightly longer break here, guys. I have to take care of something. So, hey, sorry to pull this so early, but like 3-4 minute break IRL emergency. Alright, so we'll just put up a slightly longer wait screen. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get through this ASAP, and we'll see you soon. Alright, so we're going to get into game number 3. It's tied up 1-1 here in the BaseTradeTV map contest tournament. Spawning here in the bottom right side, we've got the blue Zerg player, Nerchio. And his opponent in the upper left, it's going to be Neeb, playing for Ting, and Nerchio playing for Uranix Gaming. Now, before I even look at the map thread, I'm pretty sure this is the Izael map. Izael? One sec. Yes, this is the gentleman who made Coda back in the day, is the author of this one. So quick little shout-outs, because of course these guys are making the maps. We want you to know who they are, so we can keep track of good maps and bad maps and, I don't know, just maps, period. This one's kind of interesting, though, because of the whole third base, natural base problem. When you look at the third over here, it's very wide and exposed and far away. The one that's a little bit closer looks a little more appealing, but it has these rocks you can knock down and cut off your opponent's defensive forces from. We saw this happen precisely on this game. Mana versus Nerchio. Mana had taken this base down here to the south, and Nerchio, while attacking, quickly realized there's some destructible rocks, had knocked these down, completely cut off Mana's reinforcements, and stormed his way to victory shortly afterwards. So I really like, first off, that there's players who can take advantage of that, who identify quickly, like, oh, hey, shit, there's some terrain I could abuse. So kudos to Nerchio. My question is whether Neeb gets in the same problem. First off, if you just take your third up here, it's not as big of an issue. It's more exposed, it's a little bit dangerous, but it means you don't have to worry about these rocks. Alternatively, he may just knock them down himself and not have to worry about anything whatsoever. But one thing is for certain, even in the game he lost, but especially in the game he won, Nerchio was the one willing to get aggressive and really willing to attack. So for Neeb, who plays this defensive style of Protoss, hopes to counterattack, you can sometimes hope that wins you a game, but I feel like for a player like Nerchio, rather than dedicating for attacks, you could probably pressure Neeb into defending and then play a big macro game afterwards. I mean, it is on 6 and 7 bases, Nerchio looks unstoppable. The only time we ever really saw him look shaky at that point was that one game on, oh gosh, what was it, like Dusk Towers against Morrow, where Morrow went like turtle toss to air and got like carriers and shit out. Like, it was a really stupid game, but it was one of the few times we've seen Nerchio not look super confident going to the late match and late part of the game. Well, I don't know if we'll head that direction or not. That is an extreme of Protoss that is not often visited, at least. Gonna get some decent scouting with the Adepts. Probably cancel that, yeah, just to peek and see what's going on. I think one of the really big aspects of what I just saw, though, was no second gas. You can assume there's one gas, okay, maybe. But the fact that he confirms that there's no second gas really does tell a lot about what Nerchio's doing build-wise. And no fast layer. I mean, again, it's one gas paired up with having seen that third. You know it's not going to be a faster layer. You know it's not going to be Spired. Neeb's going to have time now to kind of more comfortably get towards that same, perhaps, composition he was going for. We have the teeth question coming up again. Quite irritating, guys. Health insurance in Canada does not cover dental insurance. It does not equal the same thing, unfortunately. And I'm not gonna lie, like, the more this gets brought up, the more I'm thinking about just like putting that topic in chat as like ban-worthy. Because I get that there's this joke about Canadian healthcare and like stereotypes, and I've never really been one to get upset about it, but what's frustrating is just like the debates that seem to spur off this. One person will ask an innocent question, and the innocent question will legitimately be, oh, doesn't Canada have free healthcare? And that will spiral into a bunch of trolls. That'll spiral into people saying like Rifkin's being greedy, Rifkin's like trying to scam people. Like, I can't stand that anymore. We've been doing this for like not even a week, and it's already gotten to that point. So if you guys could stop, I'm gonna just say please, because I'd rather not get to that point where we actually straight up banning stuff in chat. But anyways, I know it's Twitch chat and I can't ask anything, so we'll leave that topic where it is and address it more if it needs be. We do have the Warp Prism coming out across the map with several Adepts inside of it, but back at home, there's only about 3 gateways worth of production, so trying to secure this gold base is certainly bold. Looks like the Lings will not be able to do too much about it. But with about 7 Adepts, Neeb can start dancing back and forth between the natural, between the main, between the third, and if Nerchio is caught off guard by this could get really problematic very quickly. The hardest thing to do on this, though, is knowing whether the Adepts are going to cancel or not. Kills that Spinecrawler outright. Nice Warp Prism control on Neeb on the back end of this, by the way. Picking up a lot of the low health Adepts from the Lings on the front lines. He's going to lose 1 Adept by the looks of it. No, not even. Pulls that back. 1 health. It stays alive. Now the Roach is going to get focus fired. 1 Adept finally goes down. Nerchio having a hard time defending this early on, but more Roaches are on the way, and when they do spawn, this will be a lot easier to manage. But Neeb's looking to dance. He's not looking to cancel and just simply run home. Catches a Roach out here on the spawn. Gonna have to walk away, transfer once again afterwards. But the whole point of this is if Nerchio is busy chasing these Adepts on his side of the field, then he's not pushing into this gold base which is getting set up. He's not scouting the 4 extra gateways coming down into main, and he's certainly not getting on top of the Immortals early enough. But he splits some of his army off very intentionally. Once again, he knows about this base. I believe, yep. Overcharges is going to help, not going to stop it. Buys a little bit of time. The Adepts rushing back in. This base might be a lost cause, though. I'm actually unsure. That's quite a few Roaches, and with how close this is to Nerchio's base, the reinforcement line really isn't that far away. Neeb gonna mine off of it best he can. The Immortal in a lot of trouble. He can pick this up in the Warp Prism, maybe do some fancy micro, but I don't know that that's gonna save enough of anything. That pylon goes down. That cancels the Warp Ins. I think Neeb finds himself in a little too much trouble here in this third game. He's gonna recall everything out. That's kind of a clever move. I actually like that quite a bit. But giving up the third is not something he wanted to do in the first place. Now, however, he's got more Immortals to fight with. 2 for now, almost 3. He's going to drop micro some of this. Loses one of the Immortals. Nope, picks it up last second. The other barriers popped. Playing very risky with this control around Nerchio. If he had like 4 Immortals, he could probably push right into that army, but he's not quite at that number yet. And the thing about keeping these low health Immortals alive is, of course, you do need that barrier to come off of cooldown. Force Field's going to maybe be able to hold off on this ramp, but once again, there's that Spire coming up after this. So while Nerchio might be feeling some of the burn here to fall back home, there's really no... Like, if he gets Mutalisks out, there's nothing Neeb can do about it. There's not going to be Blink on Stalkers, there's not going to be +3 weapons, which is absolutely necessary, and most importantly, Phoenixes are kind of out of the question. Yeah, I think Nerchio has won every game he's played on Shiva so far. I could be wrong about that, but I'm just thinking back to the other matches, again, like fighting against Mana and others. But Neeb does have a very large army supply. Spire finishes up in a second. I think Nerchio is really banking on building those mutas. He's got about 1,000 minerals, 900 gas, waiting for that Spire to complete any second now. And just start building mutas. There really is no response to this. It's such a small amount of sentries, almost no anti-air to speak of. Force fields get broken. Clever moves over there. Bitstorm hits us up with a 17-month engagement in the... well, I guess re-engagement. There you go. In the middle of the engagement, as I say, resub. Thank you so much. But with 11 mutas coming out, I really think this is manageable. But it's that dynamic of, can you kill things in time? Like, without a doubt, the mutas will kill this army. But can it kill enough of it fast enough? That's where the problem comes in. Because you could be able to shoot Adepts all day using Immortals for certain, but if there's so many of them and you can't kill them faster than Neeb can reproduce them, then that doesn't matter. But the Corrosive Bowels are coming down. The Sentries are the only form of anti-air. Some Stalkers now getting warped in. Transfuses going into these mutas, trying to keep them alive. There is best hope to win this game. But production from Neeb might just be a little too good. Kills the Warp Prism. There's his production. Now gone. Only Stalkers remain. A handful of Sentries. If this Mutalisk army can survive, it can kill the Immortals, but I don't know if it's going to survive. There's so few of them left. But the Stalker count's dwindling. Almost nothing left here for Neeb. He sends the transfer off actually over to the natural. Gonna knock down this third. The Immortals, I think they know they're gonna die, so they're just gonna do as much damage as possible. But Blink starts up, not a Stargate. He's banking on Blink Stalkers to carry him through this game, and hoping the damage he's done here is gonna be enough to actually win and maybe buy the time for him to get to that army that can take this on. But the problem with these Blink Stalkers, and I mentioned this before, I'll bring it up again now, they don't have upgrades. Now, granted, neither does Nerchio, but +3 weapon upgrades on Blink Stalkers totally makes them viable against mutas. But the problem is, just regular Blink Stalkers might not get it. However, Nerchio comes in with a very small muta count against a very large Stalker count. I'm not sure if this is a fight he should have taken. Focus fire from Neeb's not looking too bad. 3 mutas go down immediately. Stalkers warping in at, well, one at a time. Awkward. But looks like he's got this. Ling's coming in is going to change this up a bit. Ling's underneath the mutas can make those Stalkers dance and not be able to fight so freely. But man, oh man, Nerchio, if you can get through those mineral lines, if you dance around this army, there's only 19 army supply. There are 8 Stalkers just sitting in one mineral line. The other bases are unprotected. Realizing this now, flies through the overcharge, kills some probes on the run by, might go towards the main next. There's really not a lot here to defend. 4 Stalkers warp in, and that's his best bet. Hey, Striker81, thank you so much for that resub, by the way. Whoop whoop. Resubs, new subs, I love them all. Okay, Stalker's going to be sent back here towards that gold base. Muta's coming from the north side. Muta's and Ling's coming from the south side. The Ling's really going to be changing this up as they'll be busy with the Stalkers. Muta's not even trying to take the Stalker fight, though. He's very systematically targeting down the probes, intentionally ignoring the Stalkers and letting the Ling's deal with that. Kills 20 workers for this. Absolutely magnificent choice there out of Nerchio. He could have maybe, you could argue, killed all the Stalkers. And I wouldn't actually argue against that. But I think the choice to kill the probes mining off of a gold base is the much better one in this instance. Overlord's going to go splat. The army, though, at Neeb still is pretty big. Nerchio's got a 60 army supply. A lot of it's in Queens, though. Some of it's in mutas. Drones might get pulled with this. Nerchio knows that if he can win this fight, he'll probably win the game. This is that desperate push out of Neeb. Blinking back with these Stalkers. Control's not looking too bad, but he's not focus firing down the mutas. He's busy shooting these Lings. So a lot of these Stalker shots kind of just wasted as he backs away. Good game gets called, and Nerchio will take a 2-1 lead Now in the best of 11. Almost said 7 out of habit, but nope. Context here being normally a best of 7 is like the largest thing we ever do, but a best of 11 currently at hand. Alright, what maps are vetoed? Frozen Zone, Eurus, Dasan Station, and Apotheosis. Okay, so let me actually paste those. Yeah, I'm gonna go get set up with vetoes. We'll see you guys here in a couple minutes. Or next map, whatever thing. Alright folks, we'll go back as we get into Galactic Process for the next map. This is created by the map maker New Sunshine. New Sunshine has made a map that very much, mimics Cloud Kingdom in overall design, but also some interesting extra add-ons which really haven't come into effect yet. But we'll talk more on that in a moment. I need a swig of water before I do this game though, so one sec. Game number 4 currently underway, spawning in the upper right side, dropping a good luck, have fun through the emotes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be Euronics Gaming's Blue Zerg player, Nerchio. Whereas in the bottom left, he plays for Ting. Hopefully we'll get to see him in the Ting Open Season 2. It's the Red Protoss Neeb. Now there's some interesting dynamics I guess we haven't really talked about regarding the prize pool for this tournament, considering we've been bouncing around quite a bit as far as just trying to get players to play. But when it comes to the money for this, I do want to remind everybody, $4,000 sponsored by Blizzard, provided by Blizzard. Really excited that they were able to get on board and invest and create a really just awesome, let's be honest, this was we've cast every single day in the last week dedicated to this tournament. So Blizzard gave you a full week of StarCraft 2 full of best of 9s, best of 11s, and it was going to be a best of 15 finals where all 15 maps get played. So awesome stuff to see. They've been tweeting about it on StarCraft. I know we've appeared in the launcher a couple of times, which is really cool. So again, kudos, shout out, and thank yous to them for helping make all this possible. But all of that being said, there is a difference of prize money now. People who finished and are out of the tournament at this point have earned $100. Third and fourth place is worth $600 and $500 respectively. That's the least amount of money either of these players can walk away from this tournament with. In the third, fourth place match, $500 for fourth, $600 for third. But first and second is where it gets interesting. So we tried to divvy up the prize pool and make it not too top heavy. The first place prize in this tournament is $1,000. The second place prize in this tournament is $800. But this is where it gets interesting. This is where players will start getting a little bit of bonus for making it that first and second place, not because of the money earned through winning or losing, but because every map is going to be played in the finals. A best of 15 to determine the the $1,000 versus $800 first place, second place placement, but then an additional $50 per map won, all 15 maps getting played. So there's a considerable amount of bonus, but also a chance for the loser to make some extra money and really change up how much each of them walk away with, all depending on that final map score. We already know Thermal sits in the finals, waiting for one of these two. And I guess my question would be, who has a better chance against Thermal, right? And I gotta say, both of these players, like, and this isn't like the caster thing where I'm trying to remain unbiased and, retain the love and adoration of everybody. No, I actually just straight up believe either Nerchio or Neeb could put up a really good series versus Thermal. I think Neeb would actually have a better series because Neeb's PvT has looked so damn good lately. But either way, we'll see. We'll see. There's like a lot of people asking what's going on in chat. I mean, like, really, it's a best of 11. It's way too early to determine anything. You cannot say whether it's going to be Neeb or Nerchio at this point. And if you can, then you're freaking psychic and a genius. Got that future sight going on. Castaway 999 just got saved from the island. Hit us up with a 12-month resub. After that 1 year of dedication, you can send us a message here on Twitch about trying to get a Partoof. Just that general reminder, though, we are still trying to get a confirmation from the coin-making company people. Like, the order's been placed, my credit card hasn't been charged yet, and we're still waiting for them to say, hey, yeah, we're going to actually make these coins again. But I'm hoping it's just because it's the weekend and there was like some downtime and I don't know, this, that, and the other. But point is, there's a small delay on getting Partoofs out over the next couple months because we've simply run out. We've got like 20 left between the two of us. And we have like already 24 people on on request. So anyway, send us a message that either way, I could send you a part 2 at some point. I just wanted to make it known that it's not going to be anytime in the near future. Because it'll take probably about a month to make, a week to ship, and all that good stuff once the confirmation goes through. But anyways, we had mentioned there's some cool add-ons to this map, and I started talking about a lot of other things. And this is basically Cloud Kingdom, but with some cool refinements. One, this ramp, fully walled off, will cover 3 bases. Neeb can very comfortably take this because there are rocks up over here protecting this ramp. Something which, yeah, Nerchio can knock down, but it won't be done anytime soon. Alternatively, and additionally, there are these weird hallways that go from thirds to naturals along the sides of the map. People nicknaming the tasteless hallways, the banana secret hallways, whatever you want to call them. I just feel they're not going to be used. I think it's a cool thing to put in the map, and it is an option to use later on. And really, it only is in Protoss versus Zerg. I see maybe a Protoss using those side channels to like walk a Zealot army through or something. But for the most part, you've got things like Warp Prisms and Overlord drops and speed on just about every unit possible. So it's just so unlikely you would take such an extreme path around the outside of the map to actually go attack your opponent. But they do funnel right into the naturals and funnel right into the mains, so option is there. Anyway, Stargate Opener came out of Neeb, and he's danced around the map with the Phoenix. He's already got like 2 or 3 drone kills. Maybe it's an Overlord or 2 here on the side. Not likely, though, as Nerchio's got this with Queens and Spores. And as long as nothing's too out of position, he shouldn't be too much worse for wear. This is where creep spread becomes a little bit more important, in my opinion. When you've got these Phoenix patrolling around the map, you're really not going to have those Overlords scouting the very, very critical pathways like the middle of the map or those ramps. So I really like the creep spread to try and cover up that difference. Couple more drones go down, but the Phoenix are pretty much out of juice at this point. Not a lot of energy left over for the time being. Double Robo producing Immortals behind this, and the army for Neeb, if it gets to get big, is going to be hard to deal with. I mean, we saw how well he did when it was like 6 Immortals. If he can get to like 8 or 10, it's going to be laughable. Nerchio's only just now starting up his army supply. He had just droned like a madman. 75 drones is a lot of drones, but that also means a lot of money for 4 bases. And if this is going to be Ling Hydra, you're going to need a lot of money for 4 bases. Is the final tomorrow? No. Okay, so here's how this awkwardly ended up handling, guys. Basically, Neeb has a bit of a funny schedule where he's very limited on when he can play due to school and whatnot. So whether the finals was, and it was originally scheduled for tomorrow. We about a week and a half ago changed it, however, to better accommodate. So Tuesday will be the finals. Tomorrow, though, we're going to be coming back with Civil War. That's the PvP tournament that has a lot of really cool skins. That's also when Zombie Grub comes back home, so it'd be nice to have her back for that as well. But Civil War is the board game / tournaments that we've been doing. And if you missed the first day of it, the VODs are up on YouTube. Nice username's done a great job uploading everything. We're actually caught up to date now, which is really awesome to say. But El Borracho hits us up with a 17-month resub. Thank you very kindly for that big resub. Hydra's going to come in and try to focus that Warp Prism. It's a good thing Neeb untransformed that and pulled it the hell back, because while reinforcements would be nice, the Warp Prism being alive is even nicer. Now, there's no Ravagers this time. There's no way to really break those force fields. That's where Corsair Biles were playing out really well for Nerchio before. But he comes in here with a +1 weapon advantage. For a moment, Neeb's going to finish up in about 5-10 seconds. 22 Lings, if they could run around this army up this ramp and coming from behind, that'd be fantastic, but I don't think Neeb's going to let that happen. Force fields going down to keep the Hydras back. Look at those force fields. They're spread out friggin' perfectly. How does he do it? All right, so he pushes us back on the right side. The Hydras just now get in from the north. We got Warpins coming up to the high ground because the Warp Prism was brought back for fear of dying. But Neeb is taking a great fight. Nerchio concaves, though, and starts taking out the Immortals. Picks him up, though, with that Warp Prism. Keeps him alive up here on the top. Now left on the back on the low ground. This is getting scary, though. The Warp Prism goes down. Neeb's army is almost out of juice. This is pretty all-in out of him to dedicate and try and get a kill on Nerchio, but looks like Nerchio will barely hang on to this by a thread, but he hangs on. Neeb, on the other hand, starts building another Warp Prism. He's going to continue the assault. I love the way he layered his gateways behind the secondary rock wall. Say that 10 times fast. And this puts him in a really nice defensive spot. Should Nerchio have even tried to counterattack anyways, but he doesn't, and he isn't. And Neeb is still the one poised and ready to do some pressure. Now, it does look like, with the Hydra count starting to get as high as it is, we may start seeing that Lurker number jump up as well. he's only going to initially have money for about 3, 4. It's not that big of a deal, but once you have a lot of lurkers, the problem isn't so much the lurkers, it's about detection. And Neeb, who does have the option to make an Oracle, still only has like 1 observer on the front lines. Nerchio has been very much in a lot of his series target firing down those observers, knowing that if you take the detection away from a Protoss army, they can't deal with lurkers. But if you surround and concave, it's not too bad either. Backs away with the Hydras to the south, doesn't want to push through those force fields. He does lose most of his lings, but let's be honest, they're expendable units. That's the whole point of them. However, drones getting pulled, and Nerchio once again not underestimating the strength of this attack. Force fields popping off, not a lot left to be popped off. The drones go down, 11 die. He's still got more where that came from, but now the lings make it to the front line. They're going to act as the fodder where the drones were before. Hydra's starting to concave, but once again, Neeb's going to tap out. GG, Nerchio takes a 3-1 lead now in the series. But 3-1, it's still barely even halfway to winning the tournament. So Neeb's got a bit of comeback time and a comeback potential. Gonna go to a small break though, as once again we get the next map selected. We've got Ire Plateau, Chaldean Plateau, Flame Juggler, Galactic Process was just played, Gojira Greenhouse, Coral Killzone, Namaste, and New Gettysburg. I really want to see New Gettysburg, and I really want to see one of these two players take islands specifically on New Gettysburg. But Neeb has selected Coral Killzone. So we're going to host the lobby. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Thanks for watching, folks. All right, so Queen Tiger in 1989 has a great question in chat. I'm going to answer it here, and it says basically, he or she says, so will we, normal players, have the chance to play on all these maps, or is Blizzard going to choose for us? So here's the actual thing that's kind of cool. If you guys actually, here, I'll put this in game. You just type in to the search bar, so you hit multiplayer, right? Go to custom, hit TLMC7. All these maps are on all the servers right now. If you want to play on them, you're able to. You're allowed to. There's no restrictions to it. However, in terms of like what Blizzard is going to force you to do, that's where this gets interesting, right? The idea is that we don't know what the next season of Ladder is going to look like. We don't know which maps Blizzard will pick for the Ladder either. But this map contest tournament will help influence it. It's almost guaranteed, like at least one of these maps gets into the next season of Ladder. Maybe 2, maybe 3. It all depends really on how much gets voted on and what gets voted on. For example, you could have, say, Core Hull Killzone, the map we're going to hop into, actually be... Wait, why, what? Oh, poo. Okay, you could have Core Hull Killzone, for example, actually make it through the votes and be first place prizing, but Blizzard might not like the way the map looks and won't choose it for the Ladder. Same time, though, if there's like a billion votes on it, Blizzard will probably consider it a little bit more heavily. You know what I mean? So it's pretty important that you guys vote when the Team Liquid polls open on which maps are the best, which ones you think you should win, and all that good stuff. Because the map makers as well will benefit from this. They're getting money for their first place, second place placement in the maps, same way players would for first place, second place placement in tournaments. Quick double shout-out's got to go to Aquanuts for the 20-month resub, as well as Fox Or for the 14-month resub. I gotta tell you guys, we keep seeing these bigger and bigger resubs, and it makes me so freaking happy. So thank you guys so much. But we are getting into game number 5 now. Still Lizard's pick, still Neeb's selection, and he's been choosing to play on Europe, very much intentionally. Spawning in the upper right side of Coral Killzone, it's going to be the red Protoss Tings Neeb. And in the bottom left is going to be the blue Zerg, Uranix Gaming's Nerchio. So, just want to talk a little bit on this map. Of course, it's made by a gentleman named Sidian the Bard. I'd like to put that on really quick. But before I do the map or even builds, I want to talk about Neeb's choice to still play on Europe. Now, there we go. There you go. Who made the map? That guy. Alright, so Neeb's choice to play on Europe. There's a thing that actually happened a few years back. Some of you who are newer to StarCraft might not know about this, but there was a map called Star Station back in the day that had 4 spawns, right? In each of the corners of the map. Now, in 99% of situations, it was forced cross-spawn only. But in this one instance of, I believe it was, I want to say Pig versus Todd, it wasn't. For whatever reason, DreamHack, or whichever the tournament was, didn't have cross-only spawns on. So what happened was Todd, or whoever the Protoss was, had gone to proxy in base and do 2 gates, you know, really cheesy stuff, in a base that his opponent didn't spawn on, because they were both under the assumption it was cross spawns. Really, Pig had played elsewhere. Now, Pig had said, oh, my bad, even though I got a free win, I'll let you replay the game because, you know, I'm a good guy. Unfortunately, that resulted in him losing, and not just losing out on more money and potential income and this, that, and the other, but like just straight up losing. Now, a lot of topics were spurred back then about, like, should he have done this? From a pro player's perspective, you want to win, but also from a good guy's perspective, you don't want to be a dick. Now, Neeb can play to Europe fine with no ping issue, he says, and that's fine. So for him, there's no real issue. However, if Nerchio is going to feel a little bit of lag going to North America, I do feel that as a competitive player, you should be looking for every advantage possible. But I know that Neeb's been getting a little bit, how to phrase this, not bored, but looking for a challenge. He had mentioned even just yesterday in Katz's EU versus NA show matches with the All-Star stuff that he would play in Europe because he thought it was really unfair to make someone else play when they were lagging and he wasn't. Like, he's a good guy. Neeb's a good guy. Like, he's a nice kid. He's young. He probably doesn't feel the competitive edge or necessity to win, like the difference of first and second place through such quote-unquote lame tactics. But I do feel like as a player, he should be taking advantage of every opportunity possible, and it seems silly to me to still stay on Europe when he has the option to be on North America, being down 3-1 in the series like this. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not saying that he should versus shouldn't be doing this as a coach or like a sponsor or anything like that. It's just, for me, if I was a player, I think I would try and take advantage of every situation available, same way you would in the game. You see somebody go for like 4 hatcheries or something weird early on, you punish that. You don't let them get away with it, right? So, anyways, just one caster's thoughts and ramblings. But as we do get further into this game, Neeb and Nerchio are gonna have to worry about those middle bases. Now, I thought these would be a much bigger problem than they were. As we look at the map really quick, this base in the middle for your third does look like it could be easily set up for attacks on the other side. Your mutas could duck in and out of here pretty easily. You could have a warp prism warp in here. I mean, this could get pretty nasty, but in both times that we saw these players play on this map in the past, neither seemed to pay too much mind to it, and neither really seemed to care, so to speak, that this could have been a potential issue. So maybe it's just a little bit of overanalysis and worry, but even in the TVT, it ended up happening that they took these bases and siege tanks could have sieged up and all kinds of messiness. But anyways, Neeb not going for a Stargate this time is definitely something to note. The Overlord's going to get in the main and get a decent scout on that really quick Robo. Should scout it. There we go. Sees the Robo being done. Roach is being made already out of Nerchio, and I guess he's expecting another Adept attack. Just kind of a blind guess, but a safe guess nonetheless. However, Ling's going to dart around the middle of the map, might be able to catch something, at least see the Adepts warping in out here. Resonating Glaives does start up, and Nerchio's got Lings in position, ready to try and catch these Adepts as they unload into the main. Nice predictive skills out of him, but the problem is Lings still don't fare too well against Adepts, even if you're on top of them right away. Those 8 roaches only just now spawning. He's going to want the queens involved in this fight. The hard decision to make, though, is when there's a low amount of Adepts, do you focus the Adepts with your queens, or do you try and push back the Warp Prism? Because either way, the annoyance really comes the fact knowing that these shields will regenerate pretty quickly out of combat, and no damage is really definitive damage. But seeing that there's roaches, Neeb's just going to kind of play it safe by the looks of it. Not going for additional Warp-ins, and he does take a third behind this. Now, he doesn't really have a lot of defense at home, but there's that same argument that's been used out of him in most games where you might not need to defend at home if you can get a good attack going on the other side of the map. If Nerchio is busy chasing down 10 Adepts being warped in and dancing through his mineral lines, he's certainly not sending what little army he has across the map to attack Neeb. That's the danger, I guess, with Protoss. You think about it in general, like whether it's an Oracle or an Adept or really even Storms, or just literally every Protoss unit except a Stalker will kill your mineral lines so fast if you ignore it. So you can't really ignore that that's the case. Some interesting choices being hypothesized in chat. I like this one saying that out of Fathom saying, oh, I think he's one of the map makers for this tournament, by the way. He says, I think Neeb just wants to 100% legit beat Nerchio, so that's why. And I could absolutely believe that's the case. I mean, between DreamHack victories and losses and dancing around in the WCS circuit for the last few weeks, we've seen Neeb with these top finishes in DreamHack. And with Nerchio having been a very recent second place almost champion, I think you do want to beat somebody like this. It's not even an ego thing. It is absolutely a challenge to take on somebody that's that good. But at any rate, you guys could argue for days about what should and shouldn't be done. It's up to Neeb at the end of the day, and this is his choice and his selection. And I mean, I think it's cool, because if he does come back for, like let's say he reverses this around really quick, and this ends up being like a 6-3 victory for him over Nerchio, that's sick. That's even better. That it means more that he stayed on Europe the whole time, right? Like, it's kind of a bit of a gamble, but either way, it could be cool. Warpin's going to back away because he knew those Corsair battles were coming. Nice predictions out of Neeb, reading Nerchio perfectly through this. But the problem is, even though you can predict and read and guess what your opponent's doing, you're still going to have to deal with this army. Now, force fields coming down, looking to hit those sentries. You could argue that they should go on top of the force fields. If they break them, the army pushes through, but if the corrosive bile lands on a sentry, it's a guaranteed kill. So it's a tough choice to make, and Neeb doesn't have a lot of units to make those choices with. Nerchio looking to get on top of this army, having some struggles, but constantly breaking these force fields with his corrosive biles. Focuses down one of the immortals. Second immortal, I don't know if its barrier's been triggered yet. It hasn't, so he's still got that little bit of shielding. But this is bad if the warp prism goes down. Looks like he will not lose it. The corrosive biles are not numerous enough to deal with it. Nerchio's army supply still reigns strong, and we're going to see some dancing out of Neeb now in the backline, picking up and dropping these units as his gateways are on cooldown, but this army is dying out. He's trading out really cost-effectively, and Nerchio's still sitting on 70 army supply to the 25, and it just feels like there's this overwhelming swarm that Neeb's not going to be able to finish off. But he's doing such a great job with such a small amount of units dancing around this warp prism. That immortal's up to 11 kills on it, all of them which are roaches, not really that many ling kills, as there weren't many lings in the first place. Regardless, Nerchio's going to push this back, and now Neeb's got to worry about back at home. He doesn't have double robo production. His gateway count needs to be higher. He's got upgrades coming. He was looking to tech out behind this. This wasn't meant to be a big all-in that won the game, but it was definitely not meant to be something that lost so badly that now he's on a super ultra defensive stance. I do want to point he's a little oversaturated on probes right now, so he could think about a fourth potentially, but I think right now a lot of that emphasis really has to go to army. He's seen how big the army was out of Nerchio. He knows it's roaches and ravagers. He can't dick around with this. I love that he built more depths over here to the north. He's going to try and dance around with this psionic transfer. Again, if Nerchio chases too far out of position and Neeb just transfers into that mineral line, it kills all the drones, but canceling the attack does come back home and once again has to pull back a little bit. I'm going to poke away at the Overlord, try and remove some of that creep so we can take this fourth. I love how proactive he is being with his warp prism, really trying to get ahead of Nerchio, saying like, if I'm warping it over here, you're not attacking over there. And these are not bad tactics at all. In fact, I like them quite a bit, but nothing has really brought Nerchio to a standstill. In fact, Nerchio is pretty much not even drawn home fully and entirely. He's always segmented small parts of his army off. Now Neeb's potentially going to have to fight on two locations. As we look to the north, big Roach Ravager attack ready to go up here. We look to the south, big Roach Ravager attack down here. Well, I guess less Ravager, more Roach, but still. Nerchio is either going to distract with one and attack with the other, or just try and pincer Neeb in. But, I mean, Neeb can't really afford to ignore either half of this army. And unfortunately, with no observers over there, I don't think he knows this is the case. Continuing to warp in on the other side of the map may have just been the wrong choice, as he needs every unit defensively. He does split some of his army up, though. Scary to do. Stalkers ready to blink back in the north side if they get caught out of position. Immortals ready to take that big fight in the south if they need to. And now the Adept's going to start transferring around. We do have Neeb transferring into Disruptors, which I think is certainly cool. Double Robo did get made, and if it's going to be a bunch of Disruptors, that's how you quickly take out an entire Zerg army. But the Adepts are not getting anything done. Transfers getting canceled. Warpin's getting canceled. Not a lot happening here for Neeb as far as hurting Nerchio. But it is worth noting, Nerchio hasn't exactly hurt Neeb a lot either. There hasn't been probe kills, really. Not in mass quantities, not yet. In fact, 0 workers have died on the other side of the field. I know that this question was more for chat and not for the commentator, but SC2 is as the Theathumum. Can't say your name, but how do you guys like Overwatch? Man, I just want to say I have been freaking loving Overwatch. I've been playing it since the beta. I was really worried when it went live I'd be bored of it, but nope, I've been playing it every day. It's been a lot of fun. I actually had some pretty fun times on stream last night. If someone wants to link some of those clips that someone made on Twitch, it was hilarious. But anyways, getting surrounded potentially. These Disruptor shots going to get nothing too crazy to start. Adepts on the north side, on the right side. That fourth base for Neeb in a lot of trouble. Nerchio also going to lose his fourth as they do pressure the same sides of the map. Lurkers getting morphed in.
Receiving incoming transmission.
That was loud. We'll get to that in a second. More Lurkers. Morkers? That donation really screwed me up because that's a big donation. Thank you very much. Lurkers getting morphed in. But the army up here to the north getting cleaned up. Nerchio tries to wrap around to the south side. Some gateways were placed down. A nice amount of Sim City out of Neeb. Overcharges flying left and right. The Mothership Core even getting involved in the fight. She's going to go down, but she was out of energy anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Disruptor shots are not firing, but they're also still holding position? What? That's for the first time you ever see a Disruptor hold that wall, but Neeb is now starting to amass this army that is in such a high quality, not even quantity, but quality, that Nerchio could be in a lot of trouble. But he's going to pick up with some of these Lurker. Oh my god, is he going to Lurker drop the mineral line while this goes on? Disruptor shots looking to fire. Gets a huge chunk of the army, and now he unloads over here. Nerchio, thank God he lifted those units up. May have lost them otherwise. I don't believe there's detection. No, there is one observer. Excuse me. So the lurkers are not going to do too well, but they will take out the stalkers. Adepts, zealots, those will deal with this a little bit better. Immortals certainly, but stalkers rarely will have a good time. But holy freaking schmoly, Scotobot, guys, just donated $50. Can we get some Tasha claps in chat for Scotobot? If you're not a sub, give him some hearts. That's a very generous donation coming in. It says, get those teeth taken care of, BaseTradeTV, with a heart. Oh man, thank you. And I hope so. I will say nicely, though, my tooth pain has alleviated a bit. I know that I've had a toothache for the last 4 days while casting, but today I woke up and it felt fine, which was a really weird feeling. But thank you, Matrium1987, as well for the 6-month resub. Disruptor shot's going to have to be good. That's a lot of links coming in. And Neeb doesn't... Oh, he kind of panics and shows out all of his disruptors. He's only got 1 shot left remaining. I mean, if you send out disruptor shots and, like, it's done in a perfect world with perfect control and there's no problems whatsoever, you send out one at a time and, like, just have this infinite flood of shots that Nerchio can never push through. But I guess he was busy looking on the other side of the map. Not a lot of drones go down. Enough, though. But transferring back and forth between the 3rd, the 4th, now the 5th coming up here towards the south. Nerchio does have a pretty decent lurker army, but Neeb's on +3 upgrades, and I think that's where this game really starts tilt shifting in the favor of him. Nerchio could have lurkers for days, but if they're all going to get like 1 shot and 2 shot by these immortals, that's not going to go well for him. He just starts pushing forward, and he identifies there are spikes very early on. Looking to get those hits. Takes out 3 of the lurkers with his disruptors. Going to fall back now. Lurkers not really on the front lines. It's mostly lings and hydras at a glance. Should easily be dealt with. Not before probes start going down, though. 8 or 9 die immediately. He's got to be careful with the disruptor shots, too, because, of course, you will friendly fire your own units, and the last thing you want to do is have that purification of near your transferred workers. Now, what's kind of interesting for Neeb is he doesn't really need detection with the same imperativeness that you normally would. Oh my god! Just killed so many hydras looking to turn into lurkers. GG's going to get called. That was too much for Nerchio. And Neeb starts bringing the series back 3-2, saying, who cares if I'm playing on EU? But okay. We're going to go to a small break as we get into the next game. Domination chances Rifkin is a dick in Overwatch. Wow. What? That's rude. Excuse you. What? Okay. We'll see you guys in a couple minutes. All right, we're back, guys. And currently waiting on the French casters to join us in the lobby. Hopefully it comes and joins us soon. Question mark? French casters, where are you? We are gonna start soon. Without you. If you don't join. I don't want to leave them out of the game, guys, but I also don't want to be sitting here like 5 minutes. A best of 11 could really go for a very long amount of time. And I don't want to... Alright, Neeb ready? Okay, so game number 6 coming up. 3-2 current score. Gonna hop into Caldeum Plateau. This is a map made by Avex. I feel bad because I just kind of feel like with Avex having 3 maps in here, I've been a lot less diligent about showing it, but I do want to yoink, grab this. Boom. Avex. This guy actually has made a lot of maps. 3 of them made it to the contest finals, which is weird to consider, but he has made some of my favorite maps. Detox was actually perhaps the best non-regulation map we've ever had in any of our tournaments. It has produced some of the coolest games. Snoot versus Ryong, if you guys remember, King Season 1 had some of the sickest... Oh, shit, thank you so much. Had some of the sickest gameplay and just disgusting parasitic bombs and things. It was just... I love that map. Get to the donation in a moment. Thank you very much. In the top left side, he's still leading 3-2. It's going to be the blue Zerg player, Nerchio. Select the Caldeum Plateau. In the bottom right is going to be Ting's Red Protoss Neeb. And what is this? $10 coming from Shandith_NL. The fact that paint drop likely indicates the nerve, and thus the tooth, is most likely dead. Hurry to that dentist. Don't tell me that, man! Let me just assume that things are all good, okay? And that my teeth aren't going to start falling out of my head. Like, god damn it. Thank you for the donation, but what the fuck? All right. We do actually have a very interesting thing happening already. Nerchio runs outside of his base and darts towards the third. Now, we had mentioned this before, where he's been kind of skipping over the normal bases, air quotes. But I'm wondering if this one is specifically because it's a gold. This map is under the gold-based category. There are a couple of other golds on the map, but really not that many, in all things considered. So I'm wondering just where and how he plans to play this out. This is certainly not going to be like Preon Terraces, but to note, you do have an in-base expansion for those who haven't seen this map before. And at a glance, it looks really nice, but you do have 2 rocks actually blocking it, so it would take a very long time to actually knock that down and expand. Thus, we see people like Neeb taking this expansion, the more, I guess we're going to call it normal expansion. But the map's pretty big, and this could go for a while. There are rocks to take advantage of here, too. Whether you're offensive or defensive, you can knock these down. It will close off this pathway. I know that when we first saw the map, we assumed it would go on top of the ramp like the rocks normally do, but it actually closes off the path, as we learned. People asking about Zombie Grub again. Hey guys, guess what? Rifkin's here. But I guess if you are really curious about Zombie Grub, she is at a wedding, and she'll be back tomorrow. So, you know, it's all good. Actually, it's funny because I know that there was a guy in chat saying, like, on the behalf of the Russian community, we're asking, like, where's Zombie Grub? Zombie Grub is, like, part Russian, too, I think. So she'd be happy to know that she had those fans behind her. But anyways, Neeb in a very interesting position now in the series. Again, still not down and out yet. And I think my initial predictions were, like, what did I say in that first game? Like 6-4 or something? Like, I really don't know that I can see this series going to the ace match, but I can see this series getting close, and I hope it would be. Like, again, whether it's in favor of Neeb or in favor of Nerchio, I would hope that this is a game that doesn't have more than, like, a 2 or 3 game gap. Because if this was, like, a 6-1, like, honestly, guys, I would be disappointed. Not just, like, in the players, but, like, as a caster, I'd be disappointed. That's so many games you don't get to cast, right? But anyways, Neeb go for the Stargate opening. On this map, makes a lot of sense. It's weird. It's windy. There's different paths you can use and abuse. He's going to knock down his rocks. We recently learned about some stupid, interesting stuff, too, on the map, which is kind of cool. One of them is, like, you can, for example, as a Terran player, have one Reaper sitting up here, and then the Reapers on the low ground get vision to shoot anything up here, specifically other Terrans who would build a supply depot at the top of the ramp. So there are quite a few little nuances on the map that are problematic, but to be completely honest with you guys, Chaldean Plateau doesn't seem like it's one of the maps that are going to get through. It's just, it's like too much in between of being like normal and not normal. And what I mean by this, sorry, as I take a breath there. Nice job by Nerchio, by the way. Breaks the wall, but also forces the Oracle to pop its energy, so it's not going to have a lot going across the map. But when you look at some of the other maps on here, there really are some very good ones that are very similar to the map theming that we have now, in terms of not weird, but in terms of macro and normal and all these other good things. Shout out to nice username, by the way. I see him in chat. This guy's the one who's been in charge of the VODs and getting them up on YouTube in a timely manner. He's a really awesome, friendly guy, and is also the one who really helped me make the Civil War possible. That will be casting tomorrow, so shout outs to Joe. Now, Nerchio was the one trying to knock down the rocks because he wanted to keep Neeb from being able to reinforce this third, but the third just gets canceled anyways, and the Oracles should have been enough to deal with the Lings. Bit of an odd spot presented now. Back on his side of the field, his gold base is fully saturated. He even put the Roach Warren out here. Like, no fear out of Nerchio. Super balls to the walls. He takes his third in base to the normal natural. I say in base, but I guess it's not. It just feels that way because this is the real in base expansion. Well, Pylon's going to get set up, and he's going to need a little bit of SimCity to protect his defense. Oracles do get across the map. However, as we see, Queens are defending. A Spore Crawler was made, and Nerchio doesn't find himself at all susceptible to these. 5 workers go down, and it's not going to be enough damage. Now, the actual worker count is not too different. Let's not forget, Nerchio did, of course, by taking the gold, also go for Lings early and sacrifice a bit early on for that. But, I mean, Neeb's gold being denied once was already pretty nice. I don't think he can deny it again. That's wishful thinking. Yeah, backs away. Fourth base gets taken at the other gold. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So for Nerchio, I mean, this was not exactly super far away, so it's not like, oh my god, I can't believe he would take this base. But it's protected by rocks. It leads to another base up here. Kind of interesting to see the way players are going to be expanding, but unfortunate to say, Nerchio is like the least normal expander that we've seen so far in this contest. That's not to say it's a good or a bad thing either, by the way. No judgment on the way he does it. But again, being literally the only player out of 16 invited players who darts for golds at thirds rather than natural bases. And, you know, even with this in-base natural, which he could easily take at this point, bring the lings back and attack the rocks, like he's very much chosen intentionally not to do it. Neeb, on the other hand, we got to talk about, does have a double robo worth of production. I'm not sure if the SimCity is going to hurt him. No, he should be fine. He should be able to get the Immortals out. I don't think Archon's going to escape the base anymore, which is kind of awkward, but... in all the games we've seen up to this, if Neeb gets that army up, if he gets to use his Robotech, he seems to be able to beat Nerchio. Disruptors last time, Immortals the first time. Maybe not necessarily an all-in, but a considerable amount of damage comes from the production of these buildings. Looks like Oracle's going to get canceled some of the Spore Crawlers attempting to build up here, but not going to really matter because the gold base can't be killed. They just simply don't have the energy for it. So, rather than continue the attack, just turns off the Pulsar Beam and starts flying around again. I think we're kind of getting close to that game. We're not there yet, but we're close where Neeb's going to have to really start prioritizing things like Revelations and really, really, really focus on knowing where Nerchio's army is at all times. For now, he knows there's lings at the third. It's a giant magnet. It's a gold magnet that says attack me. So he hasn't had that problem yet. I didn't even realize this cool choke that's set up here. If you get up to the high ground on this side too, that can be really advantageous, but... Anyways, Muta's flying across the map, looking to come towards that third, and while Nerchio doesn't really have that much to defend this ground army, Neeb doesn't have that much to defend against an air army. In fact, there's nothing. This Stargate maybe produces a Phoenix. Blink Stalkers, I think, are going to be his only option at this point. They don't have Blink. We'll see if he starts it up, but the probe line is cleared out immediately. 16 workers go down. Overcharges are flying on these Muta. Stalker's going to get warped in, but it's not going to matter because Lings get on top of it. And let's drop some Ace 1s and Ace 2s in chat, guys, because we are on base trade territory here on BaseTradeTV. Neeb's going to push up through the base and try and kill as much of his opponent as he possibly can before dying at home. I think he's just simply resolved to take these losses and knows that he's going to lose out on this side of the map. The question is, can he do enough before then? And it looks like maybe him starting to have a bit of indecision, saying like, all right, I'll split my forces because Nerchio doesn't have that much left. I can kill what there is with what little I have. 51 workers dead for Neeb, 28 drones dead for Nerchio. I like Nerchio's positioning so much better in this game, though. Lurkers were almost coming out. So cool to see, but there is an observer. I don't know if it's going to get sniped. Ah, won't matter. Revelation gets popped off. Lurker's not going to have the damage to stop this entire army. Drone's getting pulled into it. Action gets dicey and action gets messy. Neeb pulls back towards his gold base with the rest of his army. He's got no probes, though, and oh, he can't warp any in. He has to mine gas. Oh, he's only mining gas right now. He needs 5 minerals to build a probe. If he doesn't build a probe, he can't build anything else this game. Nerchio's going to kill what little probes there are left. Both players out of workers pretty much, but Nerchio's able to mine. He's also on only gases, and I don't think he realizes it, but Neeb's going to be the one to tap out. GG gets called, and Nerchio will now take a 4-2 lead in the series. That sweet 1080 60 FPS. Oh yeah. It's also been done on accident. I want to make it clear, guys, if I could, I would stream at 1080p all the time, always, forever. But unfortunately, being Canadian and already paying close to $200 a month for internet, I literally can't pay more. Like, I would if I could. If they had a $300 package, or if they would let me open up a second account and wire it to the same house, like I would, but I can't. I've explored these options. So this 1080p thing is a bit of a happy accident. So enjoy it while you can. We're going to go to a small break, though, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Nope, we'll go to a break in a second. I want to quickly shout out DeWitt, because he's got a 25-month resub! Thank you, DeWitt. All right, ad time. All right, guys, we're back, and we're just getting the lobby set up here for Namaste coming up. 4-2 for Nerchio. Let's get a game number 7. I have a feeling we're getting sponsored by Skype. Is a tweet I got? No. Okay, hang on. Fuck Skype. I just don't want to delete the window because I have to resize it. If I just leave it there, then it's not a problem, and I could just, like, whenever we do calls and things, boom, it's good to go. But it's easier to just leave it there. Rifkin, what are your internet speeds at? So speed's not the problem, guys. Speed is not the issue. I actually have 130 down and 10 up, which is a recent upgrade, which is cool. The problem is I have an actual very literal data cap. Like, I cannot do more than 800 gigabytes a month. I've gone over this a couple times to 850, and when that happens, they just start straight up cutting the internet off, and it totally sucks balls. But that's Canada for you. Canada is actually listed as, like, on several different websites as a third world country when it comes to internet, and that really disappoints me because Canada is great for so many other things, just really not its internet. But all right, game number 7. Hopping in on Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. A best of 11 is what you're tuned in for, and is still going on. He is down in the series a considerable amount. We'll see what he looks like after this game. In the upper left side, it's going to be the red Protoss player, Neeb. And on the upper right, it's going to be the blue Zerg Nerchio. Now, one thing for Neeb I will comment on is he really doesn't seem to be doing too much of a change-up when it comes to the series. And what I mean by this is it's still a lot of the same compositions, which, don't get me wrong, is not bad. Immortals are good, Sentries are good, and Disruptors are hype as fuck if you can get to them. But we're not seeing anything like a double Stargate. We're not seeing Mass Phoenix. We're not seeing proxies. We're not seeing him play anything too crazy, which we fully know from casting him so much more recently that he's capable of. Now, maybe he's scared to do it against Nerchio, or maybe he just doesn't want to, because, again, there's this whole like hashtag respect thing going on with the European servers. But the end of the day, Neeb, in my opinion, as a player, his greatest strength comes from his reactions and his ability to play off of his opponent. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, that's not really happening here today, and Nerchio is the one walking away with the series. So I would hope that Neeb, at some point, changes something if this gets really far behind. Like, if this gets to, 5-2. Of course, that's match point when we get to there. I guess that's also what we're talking about. Like, if Nerchio wins one more game, then Neeb will be on his very last life. But this map is another map made by AVAX, and while I'm not screen regioning it to show you, I do want to talk about the gold base over here, which is kind of come into play a couple of times. So Nerchio is once again kind of darted ahead, taking the gold, looks to be in a fantastic spot. But this is a base that can once again be abused, whether it's through using the high ground, these chokes for force fields, or you name it, on top of the fact that there's rocks right here. Oh, I didn't realize there's like a little waterfall thing, drainage pipe, whatever. Namaste, by the way, is just like a beautiful map. This is seriously one of my favorite maps to look at in the current map pool. There's like cherry blossoms flowing. The bases look nice. The aesthetics, as far as texturing, looks great. It is just... Oh, I just realized there's actually like straight up cherry blossoms like on top of these pillars. It's just a map that I don't know would make it through the voting contest, because it is, again, just like the previous one, a little bit between new and different. And I feel like a lot of voting for this tournament, maybe it's influenced by the games you guys watch. There's actually a Reddit thread. I can't tell you to go upvote this, and I don't want to tell you to upvote this, but I do want you to look at and check. Some guy took the time, I don't even know who this guy is, but he compiled a Reddit thread with timestamps to our VODs of when each game was played on each map. So instead of saying, like, okay, here's the link to this series of BCQD versus Nerchio, he says, here's every time, Namaste was played, and then timestamps to each of the players' VODs at that said time, and other really cool things. So if you want to see specifically more in other games played on things like Namaste or Shiva or you name it, this thread's going to be your best resource to do so. So I'm actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to tab out and look for this. It's a guy named Utilale. Utilale? I don't know. Someone link this in chat, please, because there's stream delay, and I don't know when it's going to catch up. But it's awesome. Like, I'm really glad someone took the time to do this. I didn't even think to do this. I would have absolutely done this if I had thought of it, but I didn't. But anyways, so Neeb doesn't really get too much done with the Adept, and scouting isn't really an option for him to get past it. But he does see the gold base, and I guess that alone is a pretty big tell. We did, sorry, while I was talking about that, have kind of a cool concept where I think he was contemplating leaving the Adept here to try and shoot the drones from the high ground, which was a neat move. Kind of like the idea. Didn't work out, obviously. Mothership core does pop over here on the left side. Not a lot to do, but does give high ground vision now of that Overlord that has been chilling above his base. Neeb does have a Stalker. It's currently in the wall, but he could bring that over to pick off the Overlord. Not thinking about it right now, though, because there are Lings dancing outside his base, and I think he wants to get rid of these. Ling's gonna actually get through because the Stalker did get pulled away to deal with the Overlord. So a couple Lings gonna sneak into the base. Nothing he can't manage. Again, the Stalker can deal with this. Mothership Core. Maybe a probe or two actually goes down here. He does micro the low ones back. Kind of cool to see, but 2 probes die. Bit of a mistake. Now big attack on the front lines. Ravager's coming with this too. Queen's on. I didn't even see the Queen slowly crawling across the map, but here they are with transfuses. That pylon's not going to depower the gateway, but it was the photon overcharge he was hoping to have on this defense. This overcharge gets wasted. Unfortunately, nothing in range of it, and Neeb now in a lot of trouble as Nerchio hits hard with this attack. In fact, I think even if he pulled all the probes, this would still go poorly. The Mothership Core goes down. Immortal's nowhere close to being out, and Nerchio, I think, has completely caught him off guard with this giant attack. Probes getting pulled back to the main. Neeb's going to try and hold on to this, but I don't know if that's the right course of action. Pulling probes away to keep them alive is never a bad choice, of course, but that's usually from a third to a main, not necessarily from a natural to a main. The fact that the Cyber Core is going to go down, that means no Adepts, that means no Stalkers, no Sentries, only going to be Zealot Warpins from here on out. And I guess he's hoping that Immortal dancing around with the Warp Prism could be what saves him. But if Neeb wants to play this definitively off one base, he's going to have to pull something really crazy out of his butt, because I cannot see in what situation. I mean, he's supply blocked off this. He can't even warp in with a Warp Prism. Maybe 2 force fields and a bunch of Immortals hold the ramp, hold this choke, but there's Ravagers to break said force fields. Looking to possibly harass. Yeah, he's going to get some Adepts in over here. If he wasn't supply blocked. He's waiting for these 2 pylons to finish up. Once the pylons are done, he can warp in, but this has given Nerchio plenty of time to come back home with his army, saying, you know what, I don't even need to break that main. The fact that you're on 1 base and I'm on 3 already tells me exactly where I am in this game. And he moves towards Lair. He starts up a Spore Crawler army to be safe in case of a Dark Shrine or Oracles or anything. But let's be honest, guys, all he's got to do is build that Spire, and once again, Nerchio will probably just run away with the game. And he is running away with a series, no less, on top of this. Really scary stuff to see. Now, while this goes on, there's an interesting dynamic I'd like to discuss, and that comes down to the 3rd, 4th place match. So, get over here. BC lost the other series, and we've been putting a lot of emphasis on the 1st place match. But the loser of this series will play BCQD in that 3rd, 4th place match, which will be kind of interesting to see. At this rate, though, it's looking like Neeb, but I'm kind of hoping it's not. I really am hoping for this Terran... American. Terran American? No. This is American Protoss to bring it back. The Immortals on the high ground are nice. This is what I was talking about hoping to see in the series, but back at home, there's no defense. Natural base is going to get compromised. He knows it. Good game gets called. Nerchio now putting Neeb on match point, and more importantly, on his very last life. If Neeb loses one more game, then this best of 11 is over. However, 5. I didn't play ads during the last break because I'm terrible, and we were talking about things, and I got distracted. So we're going to play ads now to make up for it, and we'll see you guys soon. Is this the only series today? Yes. Is BC playing today? No. So what's going to happen is, guys, we're not going to have like a best of 15 3rd place match. That's just stupid, and honestly, it's like almost mean to do to the players. The 3rd place, 4th place match is going to actually be down to like a best of 5 or something quick and easy that will play out before the grand finals on Tuesday. But Tuesday will be the actual finals day. 15 maps played, best of 15, all that good jazz. The start time for that will determine, though, whether Neeb wins or loses this. So actually, if Neeb loses this, then the 2nd place, 3rd place match will play after the 1st place match because his time being restricted to North American times and all that. But Neeb says he's ready. We're going to get into New Gettysburg next. Just waiting on Nerchio to ready up. It's the island-based map. New Gettysburg, boys. This is the island map, by the way. $5 coming in from Our Fates. He says, I hate ads, so I use ad block, but I will donate to make up for it. Aw. Yeah, someone did the math a while back. I think it was like another streamer. Something like between $2 and $5 makes up for like literally thousands of ads you would have otherwise watched. I mean, I know not everybody's got money to donate, and not everyone's like got good enough of a conscience, by the way, to make up for it either. Thank you so much, but yeah, it's kind of crazy that dynamic the way that works. I personally am of the opinion that I'm just glad you guys are watching. Of course, if you watch the commercials, it helps pay Zombie and myself, but donations are super duper 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 appreciated. We are getting in a game, though. This could be the last one. He's on his last life. Ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom left side, it's going to be Ting's Blue Protoss, Neeb. And his opponent in the bottom right, it's going to be the red Zerg, Nerchio. Now, I do want to note that this is a very interesting map made by a map maker named Jackie. I closed the Team Liquid thread recently, but I remember the name of the author of this map because this is, well, perhaps not objectively the best map in the map pool, my favorite map for the really cool and creative and really awesomely creative ways it's been implemented. So first at a glance, this map is big and it's tall and it's wide and it goes all the way around and it's very much like an upside down reversed whatever Newkirk precinct, right? With the addition of this bridge in the middle of the map, this long skinny Orena bridge. It's like Newkirk precinct and Orena had a very awkward baby, and that baby had little defects in birthing called island bases. Now these island bases are really cool and unique. Not only do you have 4 of them spread out kind of very interestingly along the map, but they've got these giant walls with the red lining on top. And at a glance, that might not mean nothing. It might mean nothing, excuse me, to all of you. However, I do need to bring up the point and emphasize that these are air blockers. So units can literally not path through it. As we can see, the Overlord derping out down here, for example, cannot move through the blockers. You can attack through it. So, for example, you can have a Viking on this side shooting a Viking on this side. You could have a Spore Crawler down here shooting a Phoenix up here, or vice versa. A cannon down here shooting a Mutalisk outside the base. Those are all totally possible. However, the problem is getting vision because, again, just like air blockers, literally blocks out vision as well as movement. Now, we may not actually see this come into effect. The first time we saw New Gettysburg was probably my favorite. The second time we saw New Gettysburg was Bunny versus Kelazur in an absolutely sick base trade, the TVT, base trade TVT, anyone? The pun? Regardless, I really would hope that this goes long. Because while the option certainly is an island base expand and it looks cool and tempting for one player, the island bases are protected well enough that you can't really send mutas in, or even phoenixes for that much, to quickly dive in and dive out. And there's a lot of area where you can take a bad engagement because you get stuck along these walls. The AI in the game absolutely needs to be improved before we could ever implement this on ladder. There'd be too many instances of people getting bugged out and too many issues of people being unable to use their units. That being said, however, I still think it's really freaking cool. It's innovative and I love it. But if anyone was to take an island base, funny enough, I would hope it be Neeb. You're going to build a Warp Prism in probably like 90% of your builds as a Protoss player anyways. So using the Warp Prism to just drop off a probe. I mean, you got to consider cannons come down in a pretty decent spot. Stalkers, I guess, would be okay. You can't really blink from island to island base. Actually, maybe you could blink from here to here. I don't actually know. Again, it has a lot to do with the way that blocker works in a very dynamically new way that we have never seen before. Like the same, like for me, I look at this, and the reason I get really excited is it's kind of the same idea where you've got rocks, and they became destructible rocks and collapsible towers, and you could create new pathways and tear things down on the map in ways that you never could in the past. That was the introduction of Heart of the Swarm. Legacy of the Void didn't have anything like that, and I would love if like air blockers and like a rewriting of the AI improved it so that they could become something new and cool. Regardless, though, Pylon is set up, and just like Orena, you can wall this off pretty easily. So if Nerchio is going to attack with anything, he's going to have to go around the long extremes norths of the map or kill a Pylon. Either way, it gives Neeb time to build things. Now, Neeb's also chosen to go for a Stargate, and very intentionally going to play air on this map, which isn't a bad choice because, again, the map, despite its blockers and despite its derpiness, is still pretty intuitive to air. Over here on the left side, looks like these links are going to jump on top of that third. Unfortunately, though, only a small amount of adepts have been made, but looks like only a small amount of adepts will be necessary to defend the base, as he does chase off Nerchio's links. My question to Nerchio kind of then goes, where's he going with this? Because the lair starts up right now, and the Phoenixes have clear view of this, but they also know that there's only one gas taken. If Nerchio was on, say, 4 gases, I think red alerts go off and Neeb throws down a second Stargate even, and we're going to have that way to deal with the mutas. But as is right now, Neeb, I was commenting on this before, I'll bring it up again, hasn't really done anything crazy, hasn't changed up. He has not been one to throw down double Stargates and play that mass Phoenix style that we've seen some other players just wreck face and roll over people with. Nerchio's continuing his expansion plans, though. So 4th base gets taken here pretty quick. Double Robos out of Neeb. But yeah, once again, just really driving home the fact that best of 11, and this is already almost the end. If Nerchio wins this game, then it's all over, so Neeb can't afford to make any mistakes, and Nerchio, I don't think he's too desperate for a win. He knows he's seriously got like 4 extra lives to fall back on. He's not in any danger whatsoever. BaseTradeTV, what happens if a Viper pulls a unit through the air blockers? I don't know, actually. We've not seen that yet. We've only seen a limited amount of things in play. As said before, though, this map is available on all servers. If you just search TLM7 in the search bar, if someone wants to grab a friend out of chat and do science, I would love to know whether a Viper could abduct a unit through. What I would imagine happens is the Viper probably can grab it, but I don't think it can actually go through the wall, so probably slam it against the wall type thing. But that's my guess because I don't know. Anyways, plenty of things being picked up. Drones getting shut down. The Spore Crawlers aren't really doing a great job of taking Neeb out of this. Yeah, one Phoenix goes down, but easily replaced and bandaged. Nerchio, though, going back to a bit of an old school strategy, kind of what we saw at the start of the series. They're going to go for Ling Hydra into Banlings. Very mobile, very fast attacking. It's something that'll be good for going around the north sides of the map. Maybe not so much the centers. Because my concern then goes, if Nerchio tries to choke a whole bunch of Lings and Banlings through this middle part, Force Fields are just going to keep segmenting them off. It'll be like free food. We could also see a real big twist of like a Night Storm or something to catch him off guard, depending on if you can get air control back. But the Phoenixes have been policing the Overlords and policing this side of the map pretty well, so I don't think that's something Nerchio is necessarily thinking about right now. But no one heading towards those island bases just yet. I think it's really cool, because I want to emphasize again that like if Neeb is worried about Ling Hydra, like, hypothetical here, Nerchio is just going for Ling Hydra, and at this point, he cuts all tech and production. He's just going all in, right? Just every mineral and gas from this point on becomes a Ling or a Hydra. And, like, Neeb's going to eventually lose the third, and eventually be pushed back to his natural. But if you have an island base, those units can literally not touch it. They'd have to be put in Overlords and dropped, which is an option, certainly, but then that still presents the thing where the Phoenixes in the sky make sure that no drop Overlords, no Corruptors, no Mutalisks, like, nothing gets to those bases. So this is a map where I think like a double Stargate play would have been cool. I'm not saying Neeb's choices is wrong or bad. I actually still, it's Neeb. He's smart and he can play with anything that he likes. You know, this guy could do the weirdest build in the world and probably still win with it. But the point is, his normal production, Storms and Immortals, these have won him games leading up to this. We'll see if he can do it here again for game point. Because again, he can't lose this. He really can't lose this. Banling speeds finish up in just a second. Nerchio probably going to make a ton of Banlings. Oh my god. Oh my Jesus. 22 Banelings starting up for Nerchio. Now, Neeb's got a really nice amount of sentries, and force fields are going to have to be on point. If he nails it with the force fields, this may not be such a problem. Charge still isn't done, so charge lots, as good as they are versus Hydras, aren't going to be too effective just yet. He's going to catch some of the Hydras here on the north side, but this leaves an opening towards the south. Triple overcharge is going off, but Banelings are rolling in. He's got to get those force fields. So far, so good. Neeb holds on to this initial fight. But there's more Banlings where that came from, and Neeb says, you know what? Or Nerchio says, you know what, Neeb, if you don't want to fight me out here in the open, I'll take it to your base. He starts running in with the Lings. Warpin's necessary over there. Because he's not looking on the front lines, Banling slipped through. Force field's starting to get missed. He's nailing it, though. Neeb's control here has been almost perfect as he holds off this attack out of Nerchio. 4 probes go down. A small bit of army trades out, but he keeps his economy high and strong. And this, by the way, this is without Storm. Storm's just now finishing up now. Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently I said TLM7 on stream. I meant TLMC7. Thank you, Avex, for correcting me, and thank you for letting chat know. But just verbalizing it once again. Alright, so the first attack got a little bit scary and got a little bit hectic. We'll see if Nerchio's all-in pressure can continue going forward, because he is not upgrading behind this. We don't have Spire tech swapping out to Mutas. He's actually going for drops, it looks like, behind this, with the speed coming up. But poising and getting into position. Storm hits that first bit of an army. There's not a lot of force fields like there were before, but this first force field's pretty nice. More Storm's going to get used before the Archons, or excuse me, before the Templars go down. Archon's starting to make it to the front line, and it looks like Neeb has completely held this attack. As Nerchio backs off once again, charge lots will be more than capable to deal with the rest of the army. Now, this is kind of scary because Nerchio did take a fight so far away. You got to consider his closest reinforcement path would be his 4th base, and it's going to take so long to get from there to here to here. This is where I really thought something like a Night Storm was going to come into effect. But regardless of that, and ignoring the way that this actually just went down for the army fight, we now have, a lot of Overlords derping in the middle of the map. There's now 4 Overlords collectively stuck in the same spot. That is awkward. I did want to draw attention to the resources lost. Nerchio has a lot of money, he has a lot of bases, but look at how much money was thrown away through so many Banlings, so many Hydras dying in this engagement. Now, Neeb's going to take a fourth, and if Neeb can lock down this fourth, I think he's going to really cement his position in the game. It's still taking so long for Nerchio to get from his base to Neeb's base to actually attack. No one's gone for the island bases, though, curiously enough. I'm still very much keeping an eye on that production tab, waiting for Nerchio to build an Overlord. And if it's 3 or 4, you know it's for Banelings and Hydras, but if it's just 1, it's going to the island for a drone. But Neeb is really stuck in an odd spot. Where do you take the position for this fight? You've got 11 Immortals, you've got the damage, but you can't get surrounded, and you cannot let that army get on top of you. Warpins down here alone will not be enough. Overcharges might just be enough to help this, though. A small part of his army segments back to clean this up. Hydras are going to be a lot of money to kill, but meanwhile in the north, can these Immortals hold on? Storms go down on top of the Lings. If the Lings disappear, the army of Hydras is not that threatening, but looks like he's going to get a cancel on the fourth. Not a kill, but a cancel. Neeb once again takes a very superior army engagement to this fight, however. Oh, that Zealot's suicidal. Don't do it, man. I know you want that Baneling, but you get 2 health, bro. Don't do it. I guess Warp Persimmon tried to do some sneaky shenanigans with this one on too, but did get caught out there in the middle of the map. Another base being taken out of Neeb, trying to double expand to make up for the bases he's been losing up to this point. Well, the Zealot count's not looking too bad, but this is the point of the Banelings. Nerchio's once again for like 20 plus Banelings, and these will take out Zealots to charge to the front line. They will get really nice splash damage on those Immortals, but you got to consider there's about 6 Storms almost holstered, 5. There's a couple of Sentries in this army too. Nerchio really is at this point where he's thrown away so much, he cannot afford to be too cavalier with this army. Trying to catch Neeb out of position, but Neeb playing around the Watchtower is going to have a little bit of surface area to protect him. Storm's going down, backs away. No force fields being dropped just yet. No Guardian Shields being popped. Guardian Shield on the north side. Takes out these Hydras. Great Storms on the Hydras on the top side. Now looking to push through the south, and Nerchio finds himself questioning, how do I deal with 13 Immortals that all have barrier? Yes, there was a recent nerf, but 100 health versus 200 health doesn't seem to be that big of an influence. Barrier is off of cooldown soon, but still, for most of these Immortals, they can't take that direct engagement. But as Neeb trades out with Nerchio, Nerchio still doesn't really have a lot of upgrades. Neeb, who was at a time here really struggling for money, is starting to make up that difference now with his bases in the north side getting saturated. He's been playing in a losing economy situation. In fact, we can verify that. Look at the red. It's been Nerchio, Nerchio, and more Nerchio. But now that Neeb actually has money going for him, he can start warping in more. He can start getting a bigger army. And these trades that have already been going cost-effective for him will only get better as time goes on. I made jokes about the Spire earlier, but Nerchio may be better off trying to think about some sort of potential swap, because right now, there really isn't that much anti-air. Blink's not done. He wouldn't know this, of course. But Archons and Storms are really the only thing opposing him. He's still looking to insist on Banelings. He's looking towards Lurkers next. Neeb's just poking forward with a couple of these Storms, really hoping to catch some of those Banelings. Immortal takes the bait, or rather Nerchio takes the bait on said Immortal. Focus Fire's not too bad, pulls back with most of the squishy units. Zealots and Storms still in the back, waiting to be unleashed. Now the entire army gets covered. He's got like an endless supply of Storms. Nerchio doesn't have an umbrella. Most of the Immortals start going down, but not enough die to make this a worthwhile fight. Now Nerchio on the back end is going to start feeling the struggle through Larva more than anything else. He doesn't have that much of a bank going for him, but even if he did, he doesn't have a lot of money to use on the units in the first place, much less the larva to produce them with. But you know what? 5 hatcheries is still a lot of production with or without injects. We'll see if this flood of Lings can cut it. Storms might be gone, but there's a lot of Archons out now. With +3 weapons, this splash damage is going to be insane. However, so will the Banelings looking to crash in. They finally connect to the army. Most of the Archons go down right away, but more than enough stay alive to zone out these Hydras. Let's not forget Neeb's reinforcements. Oh my god, that's a lot more Templar. He could be warping in pure Charge Lot right now and probably still take pretty good fights, because Charge Lot versus Lings, Charge Lot versus Hydras is great. Most of the Banelings have been weeded out of the game, but the Storms guarantee this sort of safe assault from the backside. And of course, if things get too hairy, you can always turn them into these massive Archons. I almost wish Archons were bigger units that had like limitations to them. They seem so badass in every cinematic and every bit of lore you read, but in the game they're just kind of like, I don't know, a bit lackluster, I gotta say, compared to their epic versions of themselves. But there is an observer on the front line. It has to be very careful not to get sniped. Yes, you can use Storms on top of Lurkers, but Lurkers have so much health, they can eat like 4 Storms. It's not that problematic. Oracle as well can be used for Revelation. Immortal finding a great spot to deny mining on the base. He might not be able to push into it, but he can certainly shut down any mining coming from it. Nerchio down to pretty much one base mining, by the way. That income graph that was so red before, when we look at it now, should be a lot bluer than it once was, because Nerchio's main is empty, his natural is empty, his third is getting empty, so this base is really all he's mining off of, with this one being shut down. Interestingly enough, Nerchio never took that other gas in the main, but it's not playing too big of an influence right now. Lurker's finally a player, going to be really hard as there's no disruptors to deal with this, but again, if they're clumped up, storms are not too bad of an alternative. Charge lots warping you defensively to take care of the links. We also have a Dark Shrine finishing up here shortly. This might be for more cost-effective Archons. I guess I've been emphasizing Nerchio's income right now, but Neeb, despite all this great mining and these extra bases being taken, doesn't really have a bank just yet. He has been relentlessly spending this as time goes on. We saw a couple of feedbacks on the Queensers now. It's kind of a cool move. You want to remove those transfuses and stop them from healing up those lurkers. These Lingam buys are certainly getting to be a nuisance. At some point, Neeb may just start throwing down a bunch of cannons. I don't know. Charge lots for now are kind of cutting it. But Nerchio's going to tap out. No great engagement. That's just going to be the end of the game. And it looks like Neeb will start turning the series back around once again. Now 5-3 being the score. But despite the fact that it's 5-3, we've still got a couple of maps to go through. The remaining ones at this point are... Here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. What's up, guys? So we are getting back into it. It's Gojira Greenhouse scores 5-3. This is still Neeb's last life. I really want to drive that home, but waiting on Nerchio to ready up, and we'll get into it. Nerchio? Question mark. There's still hope. Chance chat. Yeah, dudes. I don't know. Neeb maybe brings this back. It's still getting pretty scary. But go. Good luck. Have fun. Let's get into it. Gojira Greenhouse is a very pretty looking map. It's got some elements from Foxtrot Labs that really remind me of the map, at least. And this is another one of the ones submitted by Avex. Let's hop in a game here. But this really is a question. It's not even like that cast a rhetorical question. The actual question is, can Neeb bring this back from the brink of defeat? He is in such a tough spot. I do not envy him. But at least he's not going down without a fight. In the bottom left side of Gojira Greenhouse, here for the BaseTradeTV map contest tournament. We've got a considerable amount of money riding on the line. The difference between first and fourth place is insane, but not so crazy. Talk more about that in a moment. In the bottom left side, we've got the blue Protoss Neeb. Playing for Ting, by the way. And speaking of which, just a reminder to everybody, this week, we got the Ting Open coming back with the rest of the qualifiers. Talk more about some topics relative to that in a moment. In the top right, though, we got the Red Zerg Nerchio. So, really quick, for Ting, actually, what's kind of cool is they've given us the freedom to use some of the maps from here if we'd like. So, for example, let's say in a hypothetical world, we really love Gojira Greenhouse, right? So I'm grabbing myself, and it's like an amazing map. We want to see more games on it. They've given us permission to use that in the map pool. Alternatively, we might just match the ladder map pool, because I know a lot of you guys who are watching want to find ways to play the games on those maps yourselves. But I think I want to go with whatever's going to end up being most fun, and there's certainly a couple maps here I would like to incorporate, or at least try to. However, I do want to quickly just, again, thank Blizzard for making all this possible. $4,000 in prizing. We talked about the difference earlier. Fourth place is going to be like $500, which is still a lot of money, and it's quite nice to get, even if you lose everything at this point on, including the third place match. But first place has not just a $1,000 prize attached to it, but an additional chance to win $50 for every map won in the first place match on top of it. So there could be a lot of money, all depending on who wins that first place series. I would like to thank, by the way, our own sponsors. They don't sponsor this tournament, but they sponsored everything else we've done to make this channel like almost an every single day StarCraft channel. So you got G2A. We actually have a promotion on Twitter right now. I think if you're a follower on our Base Trade channel and stuff, you get like a 1 point to enter. But they're giving away like 50 €10 gift cards. And if you're a subscriber, especially on the channel, and you click the link and go to it, you'll get an additional 50. So every other option, they're like follow the YouTube, follow the Twitter, like things you normally would do. That's 1 extra point. But you get 50 extra chances to win if you're already subscribed to the channel. So I'm just saying, like, it's free money. You guys might as well try and get on top of it. Aside to that point, Thank you, Corsair, for sponsoring us for so damn long. We got more Corsair Cups coming up in the near future. Same with Chairs for Gaming. And, of course, Yord's got the Father's Day sale. But Yord's the one I want to talk about most as we get into this game. I'll stop talking about shilly, selly-outy things in a moment, because Yord is actually going to be sponsoring the tournament tomorrow. Once again, the Civil War event. Really cool stuff going on there. We got t-shirts for sale that will give players specifically the profits from the shirts. We got skins in game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, instead of brackets, we got a board game for it. So lots of cool stuff happening tomorrow here on the channel. And I hope you guys will make sure to tune in for that. But anyways, shilly, sellouty stuff aside, we're back into the theme of things with this game. And one of the things I really like is this sort of natural in-base expansion. One of the things that makes this so special to me is you've got a gold mineral line walling it off. It's not like rocks on other maps where you can knock them down and maybe get in and catch your opponent off guard. You actually have to mine this out to get through the base. So your natural is protected, even though it can also be opened up a little bit later. The Adept really didn't get much scouting. In fact, checking Neeb's vision, he did get to the man, I guess, once, but outside of that, the Adept got picked off pretty quickly. This choke inside the natural, I guess you could call it the main, actually, is fine. Not only will it keep the links from flooding in, but the Phoenix will pop in a moment to also shut down the Overlord. So this will not be something he should feel like he's in danger from. The map rush distance on this as well is not super abnormal, but it is large enough that I guess you don't have to worry too much about rushes. Too much about like 6 pools, or I guess you literally can't do 6 pools anymore, like 15, 14s, etc. At any rate, third base is going to be taken from Neeb here in just a moment, trying to match that of Nerchio. The Phoenix opening is going to play well for him as he dances around the map. I do like pretty much everything and anything that has to do when it comes to Phoenix builds, but a lot of it gets how you utilize it. There's so many times it's soul crushing, I'm sure, for a player, but devastating for a caster to watch your favorite Protoss player just lose like 10 Phoenix in the middle of the map, right? But forget all that. I talked about it before. We didn't have it on New Gettysburg. We're going to have it this game on Gojira Greenhouse. Nerchio looking to possibly close out the series right here with a Nidus Worm. He does have an Overlord in the backside of Neeb's base that he doesn't know about. He's also got an Overlord coming up here on the north side that might get cleaned up, but all he needs to do is get one Nidus Worm off, and these Roaches and Queens might be a little too much to deal with. Neeb's actually opted to go for a Forge instead of additional gateways paired up with his Robo, so he just doesn't have a lot to defend. There's not pylons, there's not army supply. He's going to be so busy focused on defending up here and having the Mothership Core actually out of position for this, he doesn't even see this Nidus Worm coming. Oh, the dead space in his main could be the dead space for his tournament life. He's going to see it with the probe that got rallied over, but does he actually see it on the minimap? It looks like he does. He's putting cannons down. He's starting to reinforce back at home. The army is coming back to respond to this, but Queen's already popped, and those cannons are nowhere close to finishing. This Adept in hold position is screwing him over. He's got to move it. F2! Do anything, Neeb! You're stuck out of your own base, and do you even realize it? Link's coming for the backside. Queen's getting picked up. There's not a huge amount of army out of Nerchio, but if Neeb doesn't fight with his army, he can't fight at all. He's finally realized his own Adept was blocking him out of his base. Cannons are finishing up here just the second time. Guardian Shield going to try and prevent as much damage as possible, but Neeb may have clutched this out. He may just end up holding. The pylons are looking good. The cannons are holding strong, but the defenses are finally starting to get chipped away at. Link's getting underneath this. GG's going to get called, and Nerchio will be the one to go to the finals and fight against Thermal in a best of 15 TVZ. Oh, fuck. All right, so that's a little bit sad to see because I was really hoping for great things out of Neeb. But let's talk about the schedule for the finals because this does greatly influence things. So, Neeb is going to have to play the 3rd, 4th place match. But due to the fact that he can't be on before noon Pacific due to school, means that the 3rd and 4th place match will have to play after the grand finals instead of before the grand finals, like I would have personally hoped they would have. That being said, this is still fine. We'll start earlier in the day and get 15 maps out of the way ASAP. Oh, man. But congratulations to Nerchio. Sad to see for Neeb, but that will conclude the semifinals of the map test tournament. Now this, again, leads to a best of 15 finals where it's not just best of 15, but all 15 maps will be played regardless. So every map that's been in this tournament will be played out on Tuesday. But I want to stress the finals is on Tuesday. It's in the Team Liquid thread. It's actually not on the calendar. I'll go update that shortly. Tomorrow we'll be doing the Civil War. It's a PvP only tournament, but trust me, it's a little bit cooler than you might think. The VODs for the first day are already on YouTube. I would highly recommend checking them out. But the finals for this will be on Tuesday. This is, again, accommodating schedules and whatnot. So thank you guys all so much for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. We hit 4,500 viewers. That's hype as fuck. That wasn't with some big host. That was you guys tuning in. So if you enjoyed the channel, do me a favor, hit the follow button. I hope you come back for more in the future. But that is going to wrap up the casting for today. I actually have quite a bit of things I have to do in real life. And I finally, by the way, a lot of people were asking about this before. The AMA video we did in Texas got kind of screwed up because I learned you can't edit 3D videos, unfortunately. But I think I found a workaround to still make the AMA work. So my plan is to spend today not playing Overwatch. I know, that's going to suck for me. But my plan today is very specifically, very intentionally, to make sure I go and finish up that video because I want to get that AMA up. We had Nathanius kind of join us in for it too, which was kind of cool. But anyways, the last thing to do is I guess do sponsor shoutouts when we return. Real quick though, if you guys don't know, we're doing a giveaway if you get an arcade block subscription. There's a Sonic the Hedgehog link down below. If you click on the widget itself, it'll take you to this website. You don't have to buy an arcade block specifically, but if you buy anything after following that link, it'll let them know you came from us, and that will enter you in for a giveaway for a Risk board game raffle. Talk more about that when we return, though. I'll even show you the board game when we get back. We'll see you guys soon. All right, we're back, guys. I got a couple of cool things. Because something else also has come up since we started this promotion. So here's the board game, and I'll show this off in a second. But I want to show you something even better than the board game, right? Here's a bunch of... So we've secured this. So even if you don't win... Oops, excuse me. Even if you don't win the actual board game itself from the giveaway with our sponsors, we've got a ton of Rainer and Kerrigan pop vinyl figurines now that we can give away to people who enter in and finish like a second, third place in that raffle draw. So I'm trying to pull these out without opening them, right? But so here's Rainer. Jimmy Rainer, boys! Unopened, all this good stuff. I don't want to take them out of the boxes because I don't want to wreck them. But we got several of these to give away. So there's Kerrigan in there too. You can kind of see her face peeking in the backside, the little Zergy head. So even if you don't actually win the Risk board game, which is the ultimate prize, we've managed to secure more prizes to give away for people who lose. So yay! But to talk firstly on the main deal, we took this board game with us to DreamHack Austin. It's a collector's edition of the StarCraft 2 Risk board game. It's signatured and signed by many of the players who were at the event, as well as the casting staff and even Mike Morhaime, the CEO of Blizzard. There's Puck, you can see very clearly, Total Biscuit, Drogo, a lot of really cool names, Violet, and other signatures on this board. But also, Zombie Grub, myself, Fear Dragon, and Only Moly all put secret messages on the inside cover of the box for only the winner's eyes to see. So again, to get this, or have a chance to win this, I really want to stress, this is not like me telling you you have to buy a raffle ticket, okay? This is like the backwards version of that. We have it's just a cool, it's like a bonus reward for those of you who are purchasing these Nerd Box subscriptions, these arcade block subscriptions. I really want to stress, like, you do not have to buy 10 months. All you got to do is buy at least 1 month of it. And it's like a sponsor promotion thing. So if you go to our page, click down here, where's Sonic the Hedgehog? Click on this, boom, it'll take you to a new page, and from here on, you can go anywhere. You can get an arcade block, which is the one we're trying to give away, but there's other options too. There's less nerdy things, there's other stuff on the site. Check it out, it's like 20 bucks. Inside the box itself, we did an unboxing video, it's up on YouTube. You will get something like $40 worth of value out of the box itself, but also have a chance to win this and some of the other cool stuff. So we've got that secured and set up for you guys. So I really hope that we'll see you guys get involved in that. We've only got 8 people total who have entered in and bought subscriptions. We've got about 18, I want to say. I'll have to check. We got about 18-ish days left on the promotion itself. So I want to make sure we can give away as much stuff as possible to as many people as possible. But the other very, very last thing I'd like to talk about today is going to be the Teespring campaign for the Tal'Darim and the Drogo stuff, or Hearthstone and Drogo stuff. Let's see screen region this, because if you scroll down on the Twitch page, you can see the links down here. You click on either of them, and to fully be transparent, guys, Teespring is going to take a certain amount, but the profits we get from Teespring, half of it's going to go to the players. 25% is going to go to the artists, like 15% is going to go to taxes, and 10% is going to go to us. We're not looking to make money from this. I really don't want to make money from this. I want to give players the money from this because it's a really cool concept where we can give people money. I mean, Hearthstone has a pretty big following, but he doesn't stream. Drogo, same sort of deal. So if we can use our stream to help them get some extra money while they play in a tournament that we get to cast and enjoy, I would love to be able to do that. So check out the t-shirts. Consider buying them, guys. That's only going to be available for another like 2 weeks or so. In fact, 21 days remaining on that promotion as well. Shy of that, though, I already did the general sponsor shoutouts. I'll do it again. Hit up G2A. If you want games for cheap, make sure you use code BASE. Yord's having a Father's Day sale. In fact, I'm wondering, what is woodwatches.com? They've got a tracker where we can see exactly how much money we're raising for this tournament because this is the prize pool for the Civil War tournament. So anytime you buy a watch with our promo code, yeah, we've sold 58 watches in total. The original goal was 1,000. So you're going to have about $1,400-ish in pricing for the actual prize pool of the tournament. This is ish because, again, there's going to be taxes and transaction fees and yada, yada, yada. But for the most part, that's going to be cool. We're also going to have more codes to give away, from what I'm told. Last time we gave away a $150 code, so you could buy one of the cheaper watches for free on their site. You could get one of the more expensive ones for a huge discount. But these watches are really nice. They're really comfortable. This is the one I have. This is my watch. I love it. And I keep it next to my bedstand because like it's too fancy and I don't want it to break. But I pulled it out just for you guys as we go full sellout mode here at the end of the stream. Promotional stuff. So here is my watch. It is seriously like one of the nicer things I own, so I don't wear it all the time on account of the fact that I'm scared of breaking it. But they're nice. They're very light because they're made of wood and they're just fancy looking. Let's be honest. I'm not a fancy guy, but it makes me feel fancy. But then Corsair, make sure to click on the links down below the stream. I love their headsets. I love their headsets. We had someone tweeting this morning, a friend of mine asking about comfortable headsets. A lot of people already reached out to her, so I decided not to. But if you guys wear glasses and you have trouble with headsets, I seriously wear these all day. When we're done streaming, I don't take them off. I just walk around the house because they're fucking wireless. You just listen to music, but also they don't hurt your ears. And for me, that's like... just wrapping up stream. For me, that's one of the bigger points because for glasses my whole life I've never found headsets that really fit comfortably. There's a couple of good ones out there, but Corsair's the one I really like. Anyways, enough selling out, guys. I think I'm done. Oh, last but not least, if you want DX Racers, hit up Chairs for Gaming. Use promo code BaseTradeTV. You get $20 off your purchase. And some people didn't know, but that does apply to North America all around. So whether you're in Canada or United States, you can get that discount code on either of their websites. But yeah, so Nerchio in the finals. We'll see all 15 maps played on Tuesday. Him versus Euthermal in a ZvT. I myself am going to go rest now, and then I got to get editing ASAP on those videos. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. Thank you more so for enduring my solo casting. And tomorrow we'll be back with a Civil War. But I'm very excited for the grand finals of this particular tournament. I can't wait to see all 15 maps played, but I'm also curious how long 15 maps is going to take to play. That's going to be like a 3-hour cast minimum, maybe 4, depending on how back and forth it goes and how long some of the games are. Like if we end up on New Gettysburg and you Turtles, like it's gonna be an hour-long game. But anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll go find somebody to host. See you guys later. Bye.